1973. That was
law is the
20 years before O'Connor wrote her decision on affirmative action. They're different cases.
That's fine. The cases are specific cases, individual cases. We're talking about the outcome of what happened by us applying affirmative action laws. The outcome is it benefits white women.
Disproportionately.
White people. What? Oh, wait. What? See? We're moving to all right.
Didn't we already talk to these percentages about the 30%?
Yeah, we already laid this out.
Yeah, so like you keep coming back to that point and asking answer.
Yes. Okay.
I don't want to. Conversations like this are what make people like me that just want to be like, oh, nice, everybo's getting along, to just thinking really bad things about black people.
Who cares? Get some data, bitch ass nigga.
No, like that's not a nasty thing. You can
Who cares about personal attacks?
but the question has been asked.
What the fuck is the data?
Yeah, we're talking about the facts. We're not talking about nothing like that.
No. We specifically asked for a percentage.
Where's the data?
That's an objective statement that has been asked and answered, and I said it again. How is that nasty?
And I'm not talking about, no, I'm not saying you were being nasty.
Okay, that's what I took it as, because you said that after I made the statement that you were quote unquote.
No, you're not saying you're nasty, you're saying you're dumb.
Don't say I said things. I didn't say that.
Yeah, you can clarify, Cafe. I'm not sure how you got.
No, it's fine. I'm
talking point.
Say that.
Okay, great.
I want to say one last thing on this, because I don't feel like going into law school 101 with you guys, but there is a difference with the level of scrutiny used by a court. We have intermediate scrutiny, we have strict scrutiny. Race is treated with strict scrutiny. Gender is treated with intermediate scrutiny. They're different classes. They are treated differently within the courts. The cases that enabled women to then have equal protection and to change the laws happened in the 70s. There's about 6 cases. I put several of them in the chat. What happened with affirmative action happened in the 90s. It was 20 years later. I will once again put those cases in the chat so you can read about them. But what was important was the decision of all those cases, O'Connor's statement, because that's what got followed when the Harvard case came in front of the Supreme Court. Affirmative action had expired. It was over. It was done. What was intended to alter or change our system had, according to the court, finally occurred. Her prognosis of 25 years made sense to the court. That's what happened. You can like it or not like it, but that's what occurred.
Okay, and another thing that occurred, 1967, President Lyndon B. Johnson issued an executive order 11375, which amended the original 1965 affirmative action mandate to include women as a protected class. This crucial action required federal contractors to make active measures to ensure equal employment opportunities, effectively expanding anti-discrimination efforts to include sex. So it started there.
But affirmative action was only, 37 years later? Jesus Christ.
They're two different movements.
I know, they don't understand.
Arguing against those protections?
You went to school, and the thing is, the only one that's teaching them is Google. That's what that is.
Just read about the stuff, guys. Open up the cases and read them.
They benefited from affirmative action and they benefited from DEI.
No, affirmative action was in 92.
But it was the cases, the Supreme Court cases in the 70s that changed what was happening with women. It changed it under the Social Security, it changed it under the military issues. I mean, that's what Frontiera was actually the groundbreaking case on that. But that's what started to change it with acceptance also into schools for women. I mean, I said, if you want a nice perspective on it, go see the film about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. It'll teach you all about the women's rights and the changes in the court.
Abby,
But A Question of Sex. Does someone know the name of that movie? A Matter of Sex? Or
just because issue, the race issue, but that doesn't necessarily follow
It's not the
that
point.
there.
They
that
claim that affirmative
the
action was the
gender issue
reason
is
for
not
this.
right.
It's enough. Rich, don't do that.
Like that's not even a tight line of rational thought.
It is a tight liner because things changed after those cases. They changed dramatically for women. The acceptance into professional schools changed. Excuse me?
And they also changed after DEI legislation. So just because there were protections for women first, doesn't necessarily follow that there were no protections based on DEI legislation or privileges. And that's what you're trying to argue.
I wasn't arguing whether one assisted it.
They're distinct.
They're distinct. They are totally distinct.
Correct.
Correct. They are distinct. One happened 20 years before the other and had the inertia and the momentum to change society for 20 years. The inertia was there. It was happening. Go look at the acceptance into professional schools as an example and the change in those professions of women coming into those professions. That happened within that 20-year period, and the inertia was there. Whether it got an assist with DEI, it's not the relevant. He was making the argument DEI changed it for women. It did not.
No.
He made the argument that women benefited from DEI legislation.
That was not
Actually true.
No, that's not what you argued.
Although she's not talking to you, she was talking about Donald.
That's fine.
Exactly, and that's not what he argued. He argued that women benefited from DEI legislation, and he gave a percentage, about 30% increase in their, I believe he referenced like job increase. So that's not what he argued. No one here is insane. No one's arguing that DEI conflates the two, gender and race as a single protected class. We understand that they have been treated separately in case law, but I also think we could go back ad absurdum to the beginning of the first case that dealt with the gender issue, and the first case that dealt with the race issue. If you want to stop at 70, then you have to start with civil rights legislation that happened in the 60s. Then you can go back to feminine issues that started in the 20s. Like, we could go back ad absurdum to talk about
Yeah, but you had the legislation, but the legislation had to be enforced. It wasn't.
Dominic's argument that that doesn't. Let me land, and then I'd love for you to rebut. That does not. I'd love for Abby to get a chance to rebut, and I will absolutely yield to you as well, man. That does not, just because one had momentum in the 70s, that doesn't negate. We can go back ad absurdum, but that does not negate Dominic's argument that women benefited from DEI legislation.
People love using
And
words like this.
White women.
You're supporting his claim that they were already
He said
considered
white women.
class.
First of all, he said white women, number one. And number two, he said it was a result of, he used the words, one resulted in the other. I'm making the argument that 20 years prior to that, when those landmark cases happened, yes, there was legislation, but legislation has to be enforced. And when you don't follow law and legislation, you sue. And they were suing in those cases. And in those cases, which were landmark cases, and once again, they were argued, a lot of them by Ruth Bader Ginsburg, you will see the change that happened in the workforce, in the professional fields, in our society for women. It changed. It changed in the military. It changed a whole dynamic for 20 years, way before the affirmative action cases. And the case came out. What was the case out of Michigan? Someone help me with it. Tobacco, was it?
You moved the goalpost.
You're talking about something that happened in the 70s, and we're saying that women were added into affirmative action, protected class in 1967. And I understand you're saying that those cases were landmark cases because they actually had to apply it. I understand that that's what you're saying. But what we're saying is when it comes to affirmative action and DEI, white women benefited the most. And there's data on that.
So,
Stop. The momentum and
It's always been shown.
matters. So stop.
We posted it in the chat.
Okay, but what's our point on this? Let's go in this circle. What's your point?
Okay, now you want to talk about the point. No, we got into the
what's the point?
conversation. You weren't even in here when we started the
No, but I'm saying, but where you going? But I'm asking now, where you going with this? Did you put in the chat?
I think you're right. Let's let him ask a specific question. You got to come with a specific question. If you were listening, have a specific question.
No, I've been listening for the long.
okay, so let's look at Harvard. How did DEI and affirmative action help white women get into Harvard? Tell me, because what was getting accepted to Harvard, who were getting accepted to Harvard were not white
You're not gonna force us to argue a point that we never made.
That's how you kind of win an argument.
I think this all started because of the pilot thing, right? Someone said they didn't trust the pilot was black, and someone said that was racist. And somebody said, no, that's not racist. Is that how we got here?
They said they quoted.
Yeah, I'm the one who said that if there was a black pilot or a black doctor that was younger than me, I would be very hesitant. And that is because they let them in. It's not because of their skin color. If I knew that they were as qualified as anybody, or I should say amongst the most qualified, I'd be perfectly fine with it. But when we knowingly let people in that are not the most qualified, I'm going to doubt their competency.
So you literally said just because they're black, I'm gonna question their credentials. That is racist.
It's not racist. You're just a lazy ass who wants government handouts.
Motherfucker, you just said if I see their skin color, I'm gonna question their credentials.
Wait, Dominic,
I need their age. I need their age.
Dominic, can you the definition of the word? Can you tell us what the definition of the word racist is?
Well, isn't it racist you keep calling him a nigga though? Isn't it racist you keep calling him a nigga?
No. Read the definition of racism or racist.
Assuming a race is superior or inferior.
I'm not. No, I see. No, here's. Okay, but
You can't fly a plane.
That's like when you say somebody's homophobic.
yeah, hold on, Rich.
Most of us don't have an erection.
Rich, shut up.
Homosexuals.
Is my mic low? Do I have to move
No,
it down?
No, your mic's messing up. You're in the matrix really bad.
Okay, well, it sounds like I have to move somebody to the audience. All right, to the audience. Rich, we just talked about this.
Okay. Go ahead, faggot.
So you're missing a step. It would be if there was no let's just say only the most qualified people got into medical school.
Words, you dumb fuck. Go ahead, sorry.
Amazing. Only the most qualified people go to medical school, get into medical school. Only the most qualified people become pilots. If that was the case, and it was across the board, it would be racist of me to say, oh, I think black people are dumb, so this pilot is probably dumb, therefore I don't want a dumb pilot flying me. Okay, that's racist, fine. Now, if I know for a fact that they lower the qualifications for black people to be doctors and to be pilots, okay, it is perfectly rational for me to believe that these people are most likely not amongst the most competent and quite frankly, best doctors or pilots that you can get. Therefore, it would be safer for me, and it'd be my benefit to go to a non-black doctor and to not have a black pilot. And it's not because of their skin color, it's because of how they let people with their skin color into these programs.
Exactly.
So here's why I think I don't get when I'm listening to people who are so anti-DEI. So what the point of equity is to recognize that people have different backgrounds and circumstances, which are oftentimes set up by the institutions, should be remedied by the institutions. But it's allowing the exact resources needed to get the same outcome. So,
but that's where it's a recipe for disaster.
But that's the thing.
Even social, even communist. No.
The main outcome is that.
Do you know who first started using IQ tests, for example?
I want to finish this thought.
Okay, but you already stopped because that is
I
stupid.
would love to hear your rebuttal.
You're saying give you what you want. You're saying give you what you want, despite whether or not you deserve it.
What the same outcome.
He's a moderator.
Right,
He
the
can.
same
All right, Rich, I don't need help.
is they take the same classes, they have the same training, and they have become the same. They have access to the same career pathways. If there's no remedy for the institutional circumstances that are set up, they don't have access to the same outcome. At the end of the day, the point is, DEI or not, the people in Harvard ideally have this outcome. Once they're let in, there's no concession made for the quality of their
That's not true. That's
learning.
not
There's
false.
no concession made
That is
once
false.
they're in the conference.
That's not based on CRT and what we see also with critical race theory.
Okay, tell me more about that, because I've never heard of a professor in a classroom saying a black person can just do work.
No, the problem is though is that these black students are are significantly not only more likely to drop out of medical school in comparison to their peers, and of course,
I'd love to see the stats and resources on that.
oh yeah, that's readily available. That's very common, but even worse is black people are. Hold on,
Nick, shut up.
Black medical students, after they graduate from medical school, are also far more likely to be basically lose their license during their residency. Basically, get kicked out of their residency programs for not being prepared. It's and of course, medicine is not. It's a serious business. It's not for everybody. But luckily we do. At least they do throw some of these people out, and they don't make it past residency.
Can I say something on Pepe? Wait, hold on. Let me make a little argument on something Pepe said. Guys, just stop for a sec. Take away race, take away gender. Something else Pepe said, and no one focused on it. He said a younger person. So let's talk about people that are graduating now, today, out of medical schools or out of their fellowships or out of law schools. And they have to take exams to then pass forward to the next level, boards or bar exams. So today, you have people in law schools that are graduating and taking bar exams that are open book bar exams. They don't have to memorize. They don't have to go through the process because it's an open book that the lawyer 10 years earlier had to go through, or 20 years. So now you're hiring the lawyer to go into court with you. Do you want the lawyer that didn't have to go through the memorization, doesn't have to know off in his head immediately the elements of the what he's arguing, or all of the hearsay exceptions? They don't have to memorize any of it. They just looked in a book to get through the test. So you're hiring. Let me finish. You're hiring. I'm not talking about race or gender. I'm talking about youth. That's something that he said. You're hiring someone today that maybe didn't have also the rigorous testing and know how it's changed in the medical boards or in medical schools, but its testing has changed. And testing maybe post-COVID became, open books and less rigorous, and they didn't have ATs to get into schools. And you have a choice. Where would you go with that? Would you have a crisis in confidence because there's less rigor and pressure or scholastic pressure put on that student as that student's going through the process? I'm throwing that out there as a question, thinking of what Pepe's.
It's the don't leave no student behind generation. That's all it is. And then people get mad because you're not on their side of passing these bucks. From high school to college to whatever you learn it. It's a generation of just passing these bucks because, he's that's DEI. And just like what she said, I'm gonna say it before her. I don't want nobody to represent me in court who had three or four fucking years, and they just let him go ahead and go in court versus somebody who actually done it for 10 goddamn years. But you get people that get on this app and want to defend because someone give them pushback about it. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's not about your fucking color. It's not your color. You flight school and you telling me they gave you a fucking certificate less than the time that you're supposed to have? Because, we don't want pushback. We don't want to say we're racist. Fuck that.
So,
a couple thoughts. Pushback on smart shit.
Yeah. So I'm an educator, I'm not a lawyer, but I have very strong opinions about this whole No Child Left Behind bull. And I agree that the rigor educationally is lower all across America in every type of classroom, on all types of, in all demographics, in socioeconomic areas. That's a generational phenomenon. You're absolutely correct. But what I'm also observing is that is just now hitting the college campuses. And by now, I mean in the last 4 or 5 years, where college professors are having to lower their standards overall for the entire class, their curriculum across the whole syllabus. But in order for students to demonstrate any learning, right? So with that said, I think you're absolutely correct. I'm going to look at any young person and question whether they have the knowledge and information to competently practice in whatever field they're in. What I don't understand is what that has to do with race, because again, this is a phenomenon of the last 5 years. Before the last 5 years, literally post-COVID, this was not happening, not based on age, not based on race, not based on anything. When you're in the class, you have to demonstrate your learning or you don't pass.
Well,
I was reacting to what Pepe was saying, and I just harped on one of the things he said. That's why I brought that up.
and that's why I did bring up I said younger than me for a reason, because that is when a lot of this shit would have really ramped up, and I
agree with that. No.
And so, but I would say though, it does unfortunately have everything to do with race in the United States. You can look at how. I forget the name of the test, the standardized test they use to compare students internationally. East Asians in America, I believe
the International Baccalaureate.
No, I think it was something else. I forget, but just like this is
All right, East Asians.
Yeah, sure. So East Asians do better, I believe, or they're either, or they could have been number 2. Better than any other East Asian country. The East Asians, United States. Whites in the United States do better than whites in any other country. Blacks also do better here than blacks in any other country. However, they do worse than all of their peers in the United States. Hispanics do rather poorly, and so do Native Americans. Now, imagine it comes to college admissions. Now you have to compete with some of the most educated whites and Asians in the world, but much better as a population in comparison to their Hispanic, Native American, and Black peers. How can you? Then that is kind of the problem that Harvard was dealing with. Is you're going to have an astronomical amount of overrepresentation with the East Asians. You're going to, and of course, whites are going to be slightly overrepresented. But now you have this group that does, on average, much worse than both those groups, and you have to find a way to get them in. You're going to have to kick out people that otherwise would have deserved to go into this, be granted admission, in order to take in one of the black or the brown people. Statistically, that's how it works.
Or the white women, too.
White women do very well. Asian women do really well. So, I don't know what to tell you. Women actually tend to do better, I believe, especially up through high school. So, the sex thing doesn't really matter. But, so what do you do? Now, you're saying, equality of, you talked about equity. Well, it's really funny when people say this. The first people to use IQ tests, I don't know if it was, I forget who it was. It was a socialist system where they didn't want to waste any fucking time with people that they felt that did not have the capabilities to do the jobs that they were going to put them in. They're very efficient people. And you can look at communist Russia. Where did they take all of their smartest students? A lot of them became KGB. They fast-tracked them. They didn't put them in school with the other retards. Where does this equity come from? Because no society truly has equity. Because people are not equal. And I think that's where, you're kind of saying like, you said something along the lines of, we have the same opportunities. We go to the same classes. Like, let's say we go to medical school.
We're directed towards the same outcomes. That's what equity is.
Sure, but what happens, though, is when you get an Asian that has like a 4.8 GPA and a black that has a 2.8 GPA. There's a world of difference between those two.
But that's not who's competing at Harvard.
Yes, it is, unfortunately.
It is.
And it's the black with the
Jews and East Asians were overrepresented at Harvard. That's why they did all this.
Yeah,
it was like turning into literally like fucking Beijing and
and
so you have two groups of
the
people.
one who applied to Harvard.
No, because we were the top fucking performers.
No, is it all the Ivies, miss?
Every Ivy League
And
school.
and when went from being like 30% down to.
Quiet. Pepe, what were you saying?
What, just give me a
I'm
second.
answering it.
She
So
went to
don't
one of
ask
those
me.
schools.
Okay, that was irrelevant. We were talking about a specific case. Like, I know.
But the case was North Carolina and Harvard.
Abby done
The
this.
Supreme Court case was actually two schools.
Abby
It
done
was
this.
North Carolina and
I'm
Harvard.
talking about all the IVs. That's a given.
All of the Ivy League schools were literally turning into fucking just nothing but E stations.
But if you were to also look, post-pandemic,
it's because we perform.
okay, Rich. 93% of the people that of all of the jobs gained were for people of color. Or they might have included women in there too. It was something astronomical, and there's been a couple decent articles that have come out about it, but like there's some where white people have absolutely been shafted, especially white pursuit of quote unquote equity. And this is in many industries like Hollywood. The media it was, I guess, notoriously did this. A lot of the large media organizations, whether it's New York Times, they had a huge from like 2010. They had the proportion of women that in their editorial rooms which shot way up, and they were deliberately excluding white men, and it's and I have to say, like, this has nothing to do with equity. You're literally taking something that somebody earns through merit and giving it to somebody to make that, I don't know, the population do better, but you're not actually helping that black person. What are we talking about today? We're talking about how, well, they let too many dumb black people into medical school. Now I don't want to go to a black doctor.
Again,
Why would we do that?
This is why you assume they're picking the dumb ones. Like, there are smart ones.
Because we know them in comparison to their
And that's the
peers.
thing, I don't know how I can't combat your presupposition that they're picking the dumb ones when that's not what the record.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely showing. You can look up UCLA's. That is perhaps one of the most egregious examples. If you look at UCLA's medical school, it went from being top notch to now having I forget, it was like half of their class can't even like pass very basic exams. Really fucking embarrassing.
They accepted more black people? Like, what's the line?
Yes, exactly. They let in, well, not just blacks, but minorities. And they let them in based on non-traditional ways. In other words, it wasn't because of their MCAT scores and their GPAs. They were valuing other information. They had a real radical bitch that took over the admissions there. But yeah, they're doing horribly.
And so what's the numbers on like black doctor malpractice and whatnot?
It's a lot higher than it is with whites.
Okay, you spound up, man. You gave us so much oral data. Is there any way you could like just provide one link?
Well, Google's for free. Google's for free. Go ahead and finish, Pepe.
Pepe, why would you say that so quickly before checking?
Oh, but because I've seen this date. I've seen this. You remember the conversations I used to have. So this is all information that I still remember quite clearly.
Malpractice suits for black doctors?
They lose their licenses at a much higher rate.
That's not what I'm seeing. Just, Chris research is showing that there's no major disparity.
Oh, there has been actually for decades, unfortunately.
I am God. This is your time not to just respond to me, but actually say something of substance. We've been waiting on that.
I've been waiting. Y'all been arguing over something that I'm just listening to. So, Othello, you ain't been listening. Y'all been arguing, and I've been quiet and listening. Okay. So,
Yeah,
I know you're trying to be smart out the mouth, but you're the reason why black doctors are failing, because you run in your mouth and you ain't listening.
Because you haven't said
I've
anything.
been on
You like Rich. You haven't said anything. So,
Yeah, because I don't holler back and forth.
okay.
I didn't.
Has anyone read like Thomas Sowell's books? Because he breaks down all this data for you.
See, someone like me, I like to stay on mute so I can learn and listen instead of challenge everyone and just run my mouth until I think. I've never been one to go to Google. I've asked other individuals that have knowledge on things. And if it makes sense, it don't need to be explained. Instead of just coming off the microphone and just challenging someone because I think I'm right. I want to push back. even came up about how black doctors, it's not a fucking race thing. He's telling the truth. And if you don't believe me,
About how
it's just
black
that thing
doctors
is and
finish that sentence?
how they fail.
Oh,
You heard what
do
he said.
you want the numbers?
And how they dropped out.
Yeah.
Hold on. You guys want the numbers or no?
Well, yeah.
Residency dismissal. Shut the fuck up, Othello. While black residents accounted for about 5% of all residency, they accounted for nearly 20% of those who were dismissed in 2015, according to unpublished analysis by Accreditation Council for Graduate Medical Education, ACGME. In 2015, 12% of black residents and surgical specialties were dismissed, compared to just 2% of white residents. Jesus Christ.
Now, I'll come off the microphone.
No one crashed
Yeah, I'll come off the mic now.
No, I'm talking about the blacks and the residents.
I'll come off the mic.
Four times more like.
I'll come off the mic now. I got something, but see how I come off the mic with something gonna need to be explained, Othello? I come off the mic to say, yeah, you're right. See? I come off the mic. You told me to come off the mic. Yeah, but see, I don't have to do information because Effie said right. Effie was right. I don't have to.
You to share. I don't know why you're being combative about it. If you have nothing to share, that's okay.
Yeah, so they don't have to share.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say this, they come off the mic, so now I came off the mic.
Okay,
I came off the mic and said, thank you, okay, I'm gonna come off the mic again. Thank you. Thank you, Peppy, for your knowledge and your information that you knew.
And what's funny is you have somebody like Thomas Sowell, who's and I'm sorry to offend anybody here, who's probably by a good margin smarter than anybody here. He says this shit, and people get so triggered by him. And he was.
Okay, Pepe, let me ask you a question, and Rich too. So the information you gave was about black students being.
Do you want what I searched or no?
Yeah. So I do you look at the hold on, Rich.
Their license.
Rich. So I did put the link with the prompt, and of course it gives the citations. You can see exactly how I asked it. I asked about disciplinary measures, revocations, and suspensions for black medical doctors.
Amongst black doctors, and I looked up the data. And what I found was that it doesn't actually track to race. It tracks to specific specialties in terms of what type of doctor you are, what type of specialist you are, what the workload is, and what the environment is.
Would that make sense?
And it doesn't show black doctors being more negligent. Now, what they do show is who's practicing in high-risk fields and under-resourced systems. And that's where some of the numbers come from. But I'm not sure if you're looking at all that data.
Madison, what you're saying that if there's an expectation, if you go in to have a high-risk surgery, a heart surgery or neurosurgery, that there's an expectation less, the percentage of success versus going in and having a baby, which the expectation is greater expectation of success. So you might have more litigation coming out of OB gone wrong than you would out of a heart or a neurosurgical procedure. Is that kind of what you're saying, Madison?
That's one of the aspects of it, absolutely, in terms of the specialty, and particularly OB-GYNs, but also patient volume is a factor, the case complexity, and where you are, and the resources, the type of hospital you're in, what type of funding is involved. So there are a lot of variables when it comes to credible malpractice issues.
Right, demographics, a lot of it go into play, but there are certain practices that have the highest premiums for med mal, and probably OB is probably one of the highest because there's that expectation that nothing will go wrong. But you'd have to look at what different ethnic groups go into what specialties. I don't know if it breaks down that way.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw in the chat, Pepe. I think the other issue I'm having with your line of argumentation is, by your own logic, the quote unquote less qualified Black doctors are being dismissed at really high rates. So the ones that are qualified and make it out of the program are the ones that have withstood the rigor. So again, I don't get why you would look at a Black doctor.
Oh, sure.
They're less qualified.
Well, sure.
That doesn't even follow by your own logic.
Oh, it does, absolutely. So unfortunately, once they make it past their residency, there's a much higher rate of them running afoul of the medical board because they have the substandard level of care that they provide for their patients, or it's incompetence in general. And I, quite frankly, do not want to be the result or the reason why that person has to go in front of the medical board in their state. So I'm just not going to risk it.
Yeah, give me an East Asian doctor or maybe a doctor. Yeah, I was just saying, give me an East Asian doctor anytime. Even over the white
East
doctors.
Asian, Jewish, white.
Yeah, fuck the whites. I don't want the whites. I want the Jew or the
Indians
East
even
Asian.
are kind of like hit or miss because they get so many of them get medical.
They're usually arrogant too.
Hold on. No, that's not why. A majority of them do get their medical degrees overseas. I'm just going off of a hunch. I would have to back it up by statistics. I mean, personally, there's just a little bit of uneasiness with that in general. Them, having a foreign medical degree.
Yeah, I don't want any American whites touching me. East Asians and Jews.
The American medical system is one of the worst.
Yeah, that was the next topic.
I wasn't gonna say it because I'm about to.
Wait, long-term survival, Jazzy, for cancer?
Yeah, treating, not treating, but
like survival rates for cancer. How about that?
I don't know. What are they?
I think it's
the highest in the United States.
Yeah, that's cancer. If you catch it early on, which most
in the United States, you have the highest for heart disease. Cancer, all these different severe things and stuff. We have the highest rates for it.
Yeah, but most countries
not all
don't have
groups are the same.
or heart
I believe East Asians,
cure.
for example, and even I think Southeast Asians, I think they have higher life expectancies than us. And
Exactly.
Yeah, that's because
I do think that's. Hold on. Do you think that's probably a lot more genetic than anything? I mean, they're not very big people. This is widely known. Bigger people tend to. There's a correlation between the bigger, the taller, the more built you are. Generally, the lower your life expectancy is going to be.
There's not a lot of 6'6" people in the nursing home. Yeah. There's not a lot of 6'7" guys in the nursing home.
Genetic can be altered by your environment. So you're right, it is genetic, but a lot of it is environment.
Your black skin will still be black in Alaska.
Like the food you eat, but that has my black skin.
It'll still be black in hell too.
That has nothing to do with the longevity of my life. So if you
it does in a way.
If you could stick to the topic, that'd be great.
Oh, it does. I mean,
well, we weren't talking about black people. We were talking about countries, and America has the highest rates of cancer.
Yeah, bullshit. What do you mean it does not?
Most of those people are white.
It does not. Othello, remember who has the green bean?
If we had to,
this job is degrading the conversation.
No, bullshit fucking shit. If we were struck back into the fucking Stone Age and we all had to live on the African savannah, okay, my people would have a lot more of a fucking problem in comparison to your people. Just from that one little difference.
I'm not going to first of all, I'm UK American.
Can I ask a question, everyone?
You sure can.
As long as you're not condescending and talk to other people. Yes, go ahead.
You can't be any worse than you.
You can't be pretentious.
Well,
First of all, I don't do that.
Shut the fuck up. For the audience, and Jasmine, you shut the fuck up too. Let people speak.
We don't have to do that.
Okay, so right now, this has been pretty much an average 20,000 malpractice suits happening in the United States. We live in a majority, quote unquote, white country, right? So that means the majority of malpractice suits happen among doctors that do
so a simple search will tell you that when it comes to malpractice suits, there really isn't a trend in terms of the doctor involved, but it's clear that there's disproportionality in terms of the patient that's involved, where minority patients are more often the victims of malpractice. There's no discernible pattern in terms of who the doctor is, though. So with that said, I also think it's really interesting how, like you said, there's definitely some bias baked into the medical system, and we're making great strides right now to take that out in terms of things like giving Black patients an extra consideration for kidney issues, right? They assume our kidneys are weaker, so we move down the transplant list, and we're less likely to receive life-saving measures like transplants. So, like, there's definitely strides towards reversing things like that, but it's so interesting because and I'm going to speak to the argument you just made, like, we're happy to talk about the genetic, like, propensities, and you're happy to apply points to Black people then, but not when it comes to education or, like, success. So it's just a real cognitive dissonance that I feel like, again, the current climate is trying to work through, but I'm not sure that on a popular level people realize and actually want to resolve.
But I have a question for you guys. When's the last time any of you went to a hospital and like had surgery in a hospital or experienced hospital staff? I'm gonna say 90%, and I may be low in my number of the nursing staff were Asian when I went.
You're correct.
In two different cities, two different metropolitan cities, and that has been my experience in both of them. It was mostly Filipino.
Can I ask?
In two cities, Philly and Nevada and Vegas. It's been almost completely Asian nursing staff.
And you can actually look this up. That's actually true because they're doing investigations into this. And they're finding out a lot of these, they're calling it the Asian medical mafia, right? And it's on a nursing level, and they're getting in there, and they're only hiring, their friends and family, other Asians. And you can look it up. It's a whole investigation into it.
Yeah, well,
And by the way, they've been excellent nurses. Like, I'm not disparaging at all. I'm just saying I noticed it.
And it's actually the reason why a lot of African Americans are in support of ICE and things like that, because they're looking at this and they're like, hey, this is kind of infringing on our job.
Yeah, so Abby, I have a question.
Why the fuck you bring ICE in? Whoa, why the fuck you bringing ICE in now? What the fuck?
Yeah, and Edward.
Sorry. So Abby, based on what you said, I work in the death care, but we go to a lot of nursing homes, and a lot of the nursing home nurses and their staff are actual Filipino or they are Asian, and that right there, we see that trend happening a lot. Even our primary care physician is also Asian, and we've had that primary care physician for a long time because we live in Orange County, California. So a lot of the doctors out here, because you normally, take the doctors near your home. So these are the kind of things I think that are misrepresentative. And Mitch, when you shared something about they're looking into these things, I wonder how many ethnically Black people actually have a doctor that's not Black. I don't know if that statistic is available, but I would like to know that number.
But I can tell you this, all my doctors are European. And I just had a heart surgery, 2-3 weeks ago? European.
You're healing.
It's slowly on.
I do want to say this.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned something about organ transplants. Now, I should have looked this up before saying that, but this is where I think I don't know where racism, anything like that would have to do with organ transplants. Organ transplants, it's my understanding, generally, you can only get them from people that are largely of the same race. Some of the people that have the hardest time getting implants, and they often die because there's no donors that match them, are people that are biracial.
What?
Dead serious. This is something that
You gotta have the same blood type, idiot.
No. like you can look at especially I believe bone marrow is the one that's the most difficult to get.
That's true when it comes to bone
Yeah, I
marrow,
know the
especially.
details.
Yeah, but not
There's
damn
other
kidney.
proteins that match. Yeah, I'm not sure either. I'm not sure about the details, and every organ is different for the criteria.
When it comes to bone
I
marrow,
don't want to
it's
get in the weeds,
It's
but
difficult to find for Black folks because a lot of us don't donate blood marrow, and I do know that even for myself, in terms of donating organs, there is a trepidation that you start to think, hell, that depending on who's working on you and you're about to die, that they really may not give a fuck. So, yeah, I have trepidation about organ donation for that very reason.
Do you think that's common medicine?
That's interesting. Stop giving up ribs. What the fuck think you're gonna give up all?
It's very common, Abby, to answer your question. I was just with my entire family, and as a matter of fact, some of the younger people had indicated organ donation on their license, and some of the other people in the family were like, what the hell were you thinking when you were doing that? So that's just anecdotal, but I think it is very common.
There are cases that are fucking horrible, Abby, and so you'll have I guess it's a team of surgeons that are they have to consult, of course, with the medical staff at the hospital that you're at, and then they'll have these advocates, and so there are people where they're kind of unsure, and ultimately I believe the ER doctor that's in charge of the treatment of the patient has the final say, but they will try. There's been many cases where the people survived, and the team that for the organ donation were saying no, yeah, she's gone. Yeah, just don't worry about it. Let's just hurry up and get these organs out. And to me, that seems like it'd be a pretty easy way to not an easy. I just wouldn't want to be stuck in that situation.
They do it all the time. Yes, you're talking about instances where you're not really dead and they could save you, but they need a heart, and your heart is good. So they're like, hey, just kill that motherfucker and let's get the heart out.
Well, they don't kill you. They just they don't necessarily kill you.
Save you. That to me, that's killing you. When I could clearly help you and I just let you die, to me, it's the same as murder.
Well, according to the oath, they're supposed to look at it the same way too.
Right.
Well, we have the worst ranked medical system amongst high-income countries like Australia, Netherlands, UK. We have the worst of the worst. If you look at the Commonwealth Fund.
There we go. More bullshit.
Did you guys just drop it? Oh.
Look how that works. Look how that works, Beaver.
I mean, I don't think that. I don't know. Is that really how it
shows up? Then you bring me up.
All right, stop.
We also rank last in access to care, administration efficiency, and health outcomes, including the lowest life expectancy at age 60 and the highest preventable mortality.
Right. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
In comparison to which countries?
You said other high income.
High income.
I don't smoke that much. I haven't smoked for an hour and a half.
Good, go ahead.
Okay, say something of substance, please.
Okay, eat my dick. There's your substance. So, we're gonna talk about fucking what? Universal fucking healthcare? It's a joke. Go look at
That's not what we're talking about.
Okay, then mute yourself and then fucking chew my ass at the end. Thank you, Miss Jazz. Okay, if we're gonna talk bullshit, make sure it's good bullshit. We're gonna talk about our ranking in health, our ranking in education, stupid shit like that. Okay, cool. If you're against it, move the fuck out. Go to Europe if you want to go eat better. I'm just saying, guys, we sit here and dialogue a whole bunch of bullshit from fucking. Yeah.
Nobody was talking about universal healthcare. We were ranking the healthcare system, and even places with universal healthcare.
Listen, Jazz.
They have privatized.
Jazz, just let him finish, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, shut up.
Stop talking.
Shut up, Black.
You show up and you just start fucking talking. Jesus. Fucking put a fucking cork in your composter, gang.
Celia, I don't think anyone wants to hear you cuss her out. Like, come on. Like,
well, no, he just wants to say we've had two different people fucking jump up and attack him while he's fucking talking. I mean, dude, for fuck's sake.
Right, one mic, y'all. One mic. We've managed to not make it too nasty so far. Just one mic.
Yeah, muzzle the black woman.
Attacking him.
Rich, you're gonna go to the audience. Shut up.
Well, Steppy is
You know
the
what
house of
attack
Steppy.
is?
Steppy is the home of Daydream King.
Nobody attacked him.
Daydream here, bitch. I got fucking sick. You got a fucking problem the way I fucking talk, bro? All I'm fucking saying, dude, is I hear nothing but fucking black sis, fucking white sis. Okay, you know what? It's a disgrace. The reason why the black community has done always something to bitch about is because they don't fucking solve the fucking problems. That's it. You know, Chinese were fucking slaves. Blacks were fucking slaves. Where the fuck is the Chinese community above the black community? Why? Because they don't fucking linger around on fucking the past. They fucking cowboy the fuck up, move forward, and fucking say, hey, we're gonna be number one in the fucking educational system. We're not gonna let a white man fucking hold us back. We're gonna fucking take the realm and fucking go forward. They look at what they are. We were just in an hour and a half conversation about how Asians are in all the fucking top tier colleges. And then you guys were bitching about how the black community has to go through a DUI fucking policy to be elevated into it. Show some fucking accountability. That's all I'm saying. You know, and by the way, I'm a mixed man too. My mom's black, my dad's white. I'm in that fucking community. So, you know what? I'm in a fucking situation because you know why? I want to project myself forward. I'm not going to go back on my great-great-grandmother's fucking life. It's tragic. But I'm going to move myself forward, my community forward. I'm going to project where a black man and my sister as black women can do for themselves and not come on Clubhouse or anywhere else and say the black community is held down because the white man can't move me fucking forward. Thank you. Now go fucking bitch.
And Steph, the thing is, I'm telling you, that's it right there, because they all get upset when you pull the truth out on their fucking ass, because you know you put the mirror in front of the devil, he don't like his own fucking reflection. They expect you to ride with them and settle. And the moment you say the word black, they'll say, shut the fuck up. Asians are not tripping off a Genghis Khan no fucking more. They're fucking got robots on stages and moving forward, coming over here. They're not thinking about that. But I'm glad to hear it come out of another person. But when we say it as black people, oh, you were cool. Look at a fuck. I don't hold hands with these stupid ignorant motherfuckers. You can't just want to fucking goddamn fast. That's all they want to do. And then you sit there and complain when in this time and age, I look towards the educated black people that aren't doing it. That's what I look for. I don't look to that negative shit. Look towards the negative shit. I look at the black woman that has the business. I look to, please don't come off the fucking mic. I don't come off the mic. I'm just like Steph. I kept quiet. And I'm saying something good. I look towards the educated blacks. That's what I do. That's why my spirit is good. That's why my soul is good. My body is healthy. I don't listen to that negative fucking shit. Still talk about that old ass shit. So you ain't say a dumb breath out your mouth. But no, they don't like that shit.
Yeah, I'm just not sure that, like, why. Go ahead.
Hey, what's your credit score, bro?
We don't even have to go there. I just don't know why.
Well, I am.
So far, we've had disagreements, but we've presented points and we've had a debate.
Okay.
I don't understand why the people who want to
You got something to say to me, brother?
and be black elite
She's talking,
feel
man.
like
Shut
we have
up.
to be subjected to that weird tongue lashing.
Okay.
You can have your opinion, but I do think there's some. I don't understand why we all have to be subjected to that weird tongue lashing that you think that people deserve. When none of those talking points were said in this room, at least not since I've been here.
What's the talking point? I think they were just like
the talking points he was attacking.
Yeah, I think they just triggered
victims, and none of those things were said in this room. So I'm just confused as to why we even entertain that.
Do you think they
And
want
you've been in the room for 2 hours too.
Yeah, we weren't using any insults or mocking or disparaging each other.
Yeah.
Not from either side.
Let them have the
And
conversation.
nobody was playing the victim either. We genuinely were presenting facts and having a discussion. So it just sounds like maybe to the people who want to pander and be black but not and align themselves with the black elite. You have to realize what's been voiced in here is that there's no respect for the black, quote unquote, black elite from the other side, and there never will be.
What's
One,
a black
so
elite?
you're wasting your breath saying it in a space like this.
What's a black
Two,
elite?
it also sounds like, well, he mentioned people who are educated and business owners. That's who he looks up to. So I'm basing on his definition of who he feels has more inherent value. So that I'm just basing on what was said in this room, which I think is appropriate, right? So that to my point is, it just sounds to me like you have some inherent talking point rhetoric that again just didn't happen here. I'll just land.
Well, they don't want to like deal with the meat and potatoes of the conversation. They want to like skim, on, I guess, like these generalities, like, oh, it's just a bunch of black people in here complaining and crying, when literally, we're just like exchanging data points, exchanging links, like, I think it's a great conversation between Miss and Pepe. I want to hear
What
you
did he
guys
say
speak
y'all
more.
crying about though?
Yeah, I want to hear you guys speak more in the future too. And
What did he say? What did he say y'all crying about?
It's that whole like,
It sounded like victimhood mentality, maybe, is what he was attacking. I'm not totally sure.
Oh, he was attacking people with victimhood mindset.
Yeah, with victim mentalities.
Well, that was the generalization that he made,
Right.
so he can like give his like on brand.
I mean, is he wrong though?
Again, he might not be wrong if people exist like that. That just did not happen in this room, and therefore I'm not sure why he cleared the stage to say that. That's all.
I know, that's one of them things. I don't know, man. Why do people get triggered for things, man? It's just, I don't know, man. But I don't know. I don't think he's wrong, though, man. I don't like this type of stuff either, man. For real. I'm keeping it up.
That should be a good conversation.
They just got to switch the narrative. I'll bring you guys were on at a rant for about 45 minutes with Miss Abby arguing about DEI hires, talking about the white women, and then it transitioned into because Pepe brought up a younger generation with the black pilots, which is a legitimate key. But hold on,
about black violence.
No,
pilots. He's learning.
Oh.
That's
It's a slur. My God, dude, a guy has a southern accent, and you guys automatically think I got a slur. But the thing is, I just want to see accountability in my community, And when I say that, we got to quit, I'm not going to say you guys in general, but when you bring up topics.
Like what?
What? Excuse me? Sorry. When you guys bring up, a whole line of different good talking points, you guys got to realize if we constantly got to come in and have a question or a conversation based off between black or minority, let's just say minority, we're still holding our community as a victim. I have been in Clubhouse for, I would probably say, almost a year now, and mostly just observing. Most come up and talk. And the most I hear is, in America alone, the black community and the white community were divided. And in the black community, it's always the white community holding us back. And then when we bring up accountability, when I say accountability, in my opinion, there's a difference between a good black community and niggas. I'm just sorry, I gotta put it that way. Niggas will throw you, niggas will pull a motherfucker down, they will pull a community down because they're niggas. A good black community, a good community of black men and women are more, it's a beautiful thrive because they're on point, to those major league community, those major league colleges, and to great jobs, and they project great forward. That's what we should see in society. And those are individuals that don't play the victim card. Those are the individuals that don't. And all I'm saying is we should be over here projecting how we should go and say, hey, everybody has an equal opportunity. And if you're gonna base it off your skin, you've already ruined yourself. And that's what I want people to understand. If you tell me that you can't go no further because you're a black individual or an Asian individual, and the only thing hindering your goals in society is a white man, hey, you've already lost to yourself. I hate listening to these conversations about how we gotta go, pick the statutes and laws about DEI and how it brought in women, white women, black communities, and stuff like that. Let's just quit talking about it.
Why? Wait, hold on. Why do you feel like you have to interrupt the exchange of knowledge that would happen
I just want to
talk about
interrupt
something that's not even going on? It's not even going on.
I have that privilege like you guys. You guys have been molesting my fucking ear with your bullshit.
Well, you can leave.
Yeah, if
I'm not here to support you.
ideas.
I'm not here to support you. I'm here to support Matt and Pepe.
Okay, but we're having a conversation.
Well, wait, what about me? I don't get any support?
I don't think Pepe needs nobody help. I've been in Pepe's rooms and we've agreed and disagreed for years. He don't need nobody help. He does not need anyone help.
Beaver, I say you, but you to be my guy.
Wait, what's your Venmo, bro? Let me buy you another Coors Light so you can chill.
So I have a question for you.
I don't drink, sir. Actually, I don't drink.
I have a question for you. You're mixed.
Yes.
What's the worst racist incident you've ever faced in your life?
Worst, Sundown Town in Mississippi. Me and my wife. You know what Sundown Town is?
Yes.
My wife is Hispanic. And by the way, I'm 23 years active in the military. I transitioned into reserve. And I literally got collared in Mississippi by a Mississippi State Trooper who explained to me and my wife, this is a sundown town. And this is 2 years ago.
That's it?
But that's so interesting, though, that you would then make this argument and in that same breath say that something like 2 years ago, right? That wasn't 200 years ago. We're talking about 2 years ago. And you're saying that these types of conversations have outdated themselves? Like, I question Stepe, with all due respect, and this is going to seem inflammatory, but I really question, I feel bad saying it, but no, I'm not going to say it, but I don't think it needs to, I think everybody that needed to connect those dots already have.
What's connect them?
Listen, the difference between me and you both, I was injected with black. That's
what?
But oh my God, I just.
So I need to clarify.
Say that shit, bro.
Just say it.
He's a lot better than Rich, so I don't mind him being up here.
So if it's okay, even though I think that people have a different experience, whether it happened 2 years ago or 20 years ago, that's his particular experience. At the same time, how we see life through our own lenses is how we decide we operate. So I've been on this app, Twitter, whatever you call it, before, Clubhouse, for a few years. And I've never come on here and used any negative language in any way. And the reason why is because I don't talk that way, period. But I do believe this, and I taught this to my children, I'm teaching to my grandchildren. The only person on planet Earth responsible for the outcome of our lives is the one you see in the mirror every single day.
That's true.
Everybody one is sitting around thinking about any of us, whether they're any ethnic group or not. And if they are sitting around,
facts.
you know, if anybody's sitting around thinking about you, they got more mental health issues because that's more their problem than yours. And unfortunately, you know, I'm 62, guys. I've been on the planet a couple of days. And my wife and I have been around the world. I've been to 54 countries, 5 continents. It doesn't matter that I happen to be ethnically black. Yeah, I keep repeating myself the same all the time. You know why? Because I believe repetition is the foundation of success. And I think that a lot of people, unfortunately, they lead too much with their ethnicity, not their responsibility. And the more you are responsible for your own life, the better you will be off. You know, you're better off you are. And I just shared that with you guys. And listen, people are going to share with you what they think. If none of the stuff they say apply to you, don't worry about it. Doesn't matter. Because whatever anybody says, if they don't live in your house, they're not with you at all. So the last I checked, 8.4 billion people on planet Earth. There's only one of you. Your DNA, your fingerprints, only one of yours. You can claim a people group if you want to, but at the end of the day, you're still just you.
I have a question for you.
Edward.
No, I have a question for you, Edward. You don't have to answer it. How much easier do you think the success you made for yourself in the funeral industry? Do you think it would have been a whole lot easier for you to get there if you were white?
Nope, not at all.
Not even a little bit?
Not even a little bit.
Wait, what would you
I'm in debt. I'm in
As a
debt.
self-made man. Yeah, and
I'm
I'm
in
just
debt
wondering.
for 38 years. I started out working for corporate America 38 years ago in debt care, my first year out of college. And I worked for the largest funeral home cemetery company in the world at the time. My first 10 years, they trained me, taught me everything, and it was a majority white company. I never thought about it. I just got hired out of college, and that was it. But no, I think that as I grew and all the tests I took and all the things I learned, it just gave me the opportunity to be good at something and to help families every single day. And that to me is very, very important. I think that the more you work, this is what my mentor says all the time. Edward, work more on yourself than on your career. Because what you bring to any relationship is who you are, not what you do.
You said that you own a funeral home? That's facts. Edward, you said you own a funeral home?
We're all over the world. We do international shipping. We work with over 45,000 deaths a year throughout the U.S. So my organization's been around. I worked for corporate America for 10 years. My last 28 years, I own my own organization to where we help funeral home cemeteries and crematories. But the majority of people that we help is families, what we call after reach. There's 17 legal things a family has to do after someone passed away. And we walk them through that with 10 different professionals to make sure they get their first step back to normalcy.
And somebody told me to open a funeral home, and they said, you'll always be in business.
I was saying that. I was like, you're never gonna run out of business.
Ooh, I got another question. Have you ever helped a customer stay their spouse died?
Every business and customer.
And they were very, like, you were helping them along, and then it, like 2-3 months later after the funeral, you find out that they killed their spouse.
Oh, that's not part of what we do. That's within that's the legal system. That has nothing to do with the funeral.
Well, no, I know. I just wondered if you ever helped someone through the process, and they were, death was ruled like just a natural death, and then a year later you read in the paper that it turns out the person killed their spouse.
We probably have 1 or 2 of those, right?
It never happened in our organization, so I would not know that. But
Would you know?
No, we would know if that person was part of our band, because we post all of our obituaries either on our website or or their Facebook page or whatever. But it's never happened to me in those cases. So
you don't get haunted by ghosts, bro.
What are these questions?
No, I remember walking. My grandpa was an electrician, so he would go turn the lights on at the funeral home. And one day he just took me back to where they working on the bodies, and I was like 11. And that shit changed the course of my life. That shit was so scary.
You trying to get you, huh? But yeah, I agree, bro. Black people, bro.
I
stop complaining about these white folks. I don't think white people get up and think about us.
So here's my.
And then, hold on. But it's just like, a lot of people like to play this. There's a couple people I don't get in this world, right? Because it's like, the bigger you look at the picture, the less and less certain things matter. People that cry about racism and shit, or getting treated unfairly and shit, bro. Like, I'll be like, bro, you a fucking pussy. You a pussy, bro. Like, if you a man, you like, to me, you just like, you a pussy, bro. I don't even mean to say it like that. It's just like, you really just a weird type of person, bro. Like, your whole life is oriented around racism and people's perception of you. Like, that's not their God-given right to perceive you however they feel like. You know, people need to start understanding that you don't control other people, bro. When, like you said, Edward, and if a motherfucker want to be racist, so the fuck what? You know, it's already people in the audience tripping. These are the people I be talking about, bro. Because these people let a racist interaction dictate their whole day, their whole month, their whole year, their whole lives, bro. Motherfuckers be telling me the stupidest shit. Oh, I experienced racism. He gave me a microaggression at work. I'm like, bro, shut your pussy ass up, bro. They feel me? Like, shut your bitch ass up, bro. You was a bitch, nigga. Like, really, bro? That's gonna stop you from going to work.
How do you pronounce your name?
What you say, Edward?
How do you pronounce your name?
Kaz.
Kaz. So I have a question for you, Kaz, which is it's just a practical question. Do you think we pick people up in a different truck?
What do you mean?
When they pass away?
Do you think y'all pick people up in different trucks?
Yeah.
No, I think y'all pick people up in whatever they pay for.
No, we pick everybody up in the same truck. I don't care what
same truck. Yeah.
Oh, you don't have a herd for black people?
Not at all.
What about for Indians? Do Indians know that? They put them in a different herds? Oh.
No. Listen, guys, I work with every people group on the planet. When they expire, we pick them all up in the same truck. And we don't care who calls us. Doesn't matter. We do every type of service on the planet. And people call our company because we do good business. They're not looking at us because there's a guy who looks like me that owns the company. No, they just want to be served properly. Everybody likes excellence. I don't know any person on planet Earth that does not like excellence. And excellence has no ethnicity to it, guys. And that's why what you're talking about, guys, is so important. If you get up every day and you just walk outside, my mentor said, opportunity has a very unique way of presenting itself. It's there on every street corner around the world, waiting to be recognized.
Right.
Life is too short. I go ahead. I'm sorry, guys.
You're right. And it's just like, I feel like certain people, I don't like these type of people, they get up and they have a dark cloud over their fucking head, bro. And they just take that shit everywhere they go. Always crying and shit. Always complaining about white people, bro. Like,
see, but that's not because it's not. Do you see like the difference?
What?
So it's all environmentalism. That's what the whole thing is. Edward doesn't experience that. Listen to Edward has all these mentors. He has people that are able to guide him. They all the biggest self-help experts. They all say you're the sum of the five people the five people you hang out the most with, right? They talk about psychology, how we could reprogram our minds according to what is presented to us, right? And so one of my greatest moments of realizing that was in a philosophy class, an actual philosophy class. It was in the Heights. It was a satellite office. And our philosophy professor asked us all to go to the window. And we all got up and we all went to the window. And then we looked up to the streets. And he says, I want you all to give me the best explanation as to why in our county you can get, for community for this community college, you can register for free for this time. And I want you to tell me why there is almost 100% white people inside this room, and outside, I want want you to count how many black people you see, and we did, and and I mean, like right outside, we were right on Broadway, right, and so there was dozens, there was everywhere, and then inside we were all white, and so we had to come up with an explanation to that. What is the explanation? Is it that white people want education more? Is it that white people are smarter? Is it that white people are better? No, it's not. It's all environmentalism. It's what you grow up with, who you're around, the minds. Rabbit, it's philosophy. It's literally called environmentalism.
I meant to give a heart emoji.
That's not what environmentalism is.
It was supposed to be.
Philosophically, right? When you talk about determinism and free will, right? Environmentalism, right? Yes, it is. It is environmental. You're not good. I just gave the fucking scenario. You wanna challenge my philosophy professor?
Here's what I would say, right? Because I see what you're saying, but then again, how do you explain the certain individuals in these environments that still see the bigger picture, right? So, like, let's say me, right, where I'm from and stuff like that, most people don't think, so what I've done is like, only I've done it, only I wanted to do that shit. Only I saw that path, right? But it's like, I'm around people that they do other things. Most of them are. So there's certain individuals that even in those environments, they still go out and do these things though. But it's really just that victimhood, bro. Like, it's really that victimhood, and people just you're not all the way wrong. You're very much accurate, but it's not only environmental aspect that has something to do with it for sure. But it's something deeper than just where you're at. It's just a collective mindset people have, and that shit kills them.
Yeah, let me ask this question, B-Ma, and thank you, Cass. B-Ma, and I hear you when you use the word environmental. Do you or have you been aware of the numbers of the United States, the population that we have?
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
Okay, so I teach my children. My son's 41 now. He's been married. My daughter's, she's 34, married. So, but I used it when they were growing up. I asked them the question. I said, do you understand when they use the word minority, what that really means? Okay? And they said, no. So my wife and I explained to them very clearly that it only means that you live in a majority white country. According to the numbers, blacks are only 13% of America. Okay? Right now, there's 250 million Americans.
Right, but they're not all white.
No, hold on. Just walk with me. I know they're not. Okay, Dora, I just said the number, right? I said there's only 50 million Americans that happen to be ethnically black. So they the rest cannot be all white. I know that. Okay? But you got to follow along with the understanding, because it's unfortunate that most people hear the word minority and they think that means they cannot compete. And that's why I was sharing with B-Mob that some of the things are environmental, but when it comes to raw numbers, this is how many ethnically black people who were born in the United States of America. Okay? The same thing when it comes to the number of whites. There just happen to be more. But when you look at the numbers and you really break it down, and I'll land on this, guys. My wife and I live in Orange County, California. The community we live in, 568 homes. There's only myself and my wife, another couple, my wife and myself and another couple who's married, are the only two people that look like us in the whole community. And we never once thought, let me finish, and you, I'm gonna let you go. We never once thought that we should not move to this neighborhood. No, my wife wanted to be in a community that she liked. And that's why we bought the home there. It didn't have anything to do with our color or nothing. We could afford the place, we're comfortable, and we've been living there. It's our second home out there. same education bracket, most people live around people that's like them, not because of ethnicity, guys. And the unfortunate thing in America is we like division, not addition. I land there. Go ahead.
No, I think you make good points. It's interesting. It's a good story.
I will say though that kind of backing off of what Bima said, I do think that this isn't going to be necessarily based on race, but there's obviously different racial groups in the United States will experience this at different rates. But growing up in what I would consider very dysfunctional environments, where your parent, like with your parents, maybe they're highly criminal, they're addicted to drugs, so are their cousins, so are their, you just have, and I've seen this like up close, in Native American reservations in particular. I almost would say that these people don't have a shot in hell. Luckily, one of those reservations, Abby probably knows where Talking Stick Resort, that Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian community. I'm talking about this one in particular. Like, almost 20 years ago, some of the patients that I was assigned to on a caseload, that you'd go there and like, holy shit, it's the amount, like a lot of violence, interpersonal, or I should say, what is it? They changed the term, but intimate partner violence, a lot of domestic violence. I'll just say that. The drug use, the gang activity, all of this. It's like there was nobody to raise you right. You could try to do the best you could do, but you were gonna get dragged to all of the bullshit with your neighbors and your family. You didn't have a shot in hell, and I did. That community is doing extremely well now because they have like spring training there. They have resorts and casinos, but they. Well, I know one of the things they did, and of course, not most dysfunctional communities won't have this option. So everybody there gets a per cap check every, I believe, 3 months. And it's a pretty substantial amount of money. If you get into college, they'll pay for it. They really, a lot of perks to being a member of that little tribe. But they immediately off the bat, if you are a drug addict, if you have any kind of dysfunction, they are going to give you a forced payee. They're not going to let you handle your money. They ended up basically providing a whole shit ton of services to break the cycle of the kids having to be grown up or raised around, all of the nonsense and bullshit. It was intergenerational dysfunction with a lot of these people. And, I'm not going to necessarily blame them, because I'd probably be the same way if I grew up like that. But I do think you can talk about personal responsibility all you want, but I think there's some environments where the odds are extremely stacked against you.
Okay, so Pepe, I know you can tell me every day not to talk about personal responsibility, but this is what I want to ask everybody in this space, all of us, which is kind of interesting. How do any of us purchase a problem?
Purchase a what?
A problem. Where can I go purchase a problem, Pepe?
Sometimes you're born into it. That's my point.
No, Pepe. I'm going to say it again. Where can I go purchase a problem?
Wherever you want.
No, you can't purchase problems. They don't sell it. I don't care.
I'll just find you a drug dealer.
Prostitute, drugs.
Yes. Hold on. Listen, that's not purchasing their problem. That's a person not having discipline over their own self. You're not purchasing a problem. Guys, they don't sell problems. Every problem, and I'm just going to use that word, that I've ever had in my life, because I made poor decisions. I made bad judgment calls.
But did you grow up in, you sounds like you grew up from how you talked about your parents. You grew up in a nice household. And I do hear about children that grow up in poor communities, especially when it comes to immigrant families. Now, immigrants are poor for a lot reasons. Largely, they just don't have a formal education. But they're not necessarily dysfunctional people. They're good parents. And you hear about these people, that's their home, and they're in charge of their children. So they will push their children. But what do you do when your parents are abusive and they don't give a fuck about you? Go ahead.
Pepe, I hear you loud and clear, Pepe. But you're talking about someone being inflicted with something versus most of us having better opportunities than number. That number again that you're talking about is not all of us. A lot of us have survived a whole lot of pain, a whole lot of stuff. We've survived. You know why, Pepe? Because we have better choices and we made better choices.
I didn't survive that environment. No.
You didn't survive, Pepe?
I didn't survive growing up in an environment like that, no.
No, you didn't survive. So you're telling me...
No, my dad was not smoking meth in front of me. I wasn't getting molested or raped by family members. I wasn't getting shit beaten out of me. No, none of that. I wasn't having to fight with kids my own age every time I wanted to do right. I'd get jumped, beat up, picked on, whatever. And so I had to resort to the same bullshit that they were doing in order just to be left the fuck alone. I mean, that is a reality in some of these communities.
Pepe, listen to me.
I just want to say this. That's a weak mind, Pepe. It's just a weak mind. It's like, you have warriors, that's some of the greatest warriors America has ever had the luxury of serving the military, all came from dysfunctional families, but they went a different route and became some heroic men.
Some of them make it, but...
Yes, but Pepe, I'm going to ask you a question. And everybody in this space, please help me. How many of you have met someone that Pepe described it, that, they were whipped by their parents, their dad was doing methamphetamine, their mom was doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Well, how many of us in this particular place right now that's had this situation actually happen to them? Or have most of us in the United States had relatively, even if you didn't have no parents in the house, you relatively had a pretty good, what we would call childhood. Even though you didn't have all the stuff you wanted, how many of us would say that?
Me, I've had a pretty good childhood.
Thank you.
And before I was in a foster home. Because of course when you're in a foster home, they're not going to put you in a bad environment. They're going to check that environment. But before I was, my mother and my father, they were together. I mean, due to certain things of my brothers and everything, and the separation. And don't get me wrong, the hood was around the corner from me. I had no silver spoon, but I was in a pretty good environment. I wasn't beaten. I wasn't exposed to things that Pepe would say. That's all. But yeah, I knew of people.
Yeah, I am God. Check one second, Rebby. Right after this, I am God. I live in a community where we have trust babies, and some of my neighbors, when I talk to them, they have more trouble with their children because they have to get their children. One of my friends had to get his son off of drugs. It cost him $80,000, and he grew up with both parents in the home.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
So hold on, Pepe. What I'm saying to you, Pepe, do you think that these parents wanted their child to choose this direction? Because that child made the choice.
The child. I'm going to actually take another route when you say that child has a choice. First of all, there are reasons why people have the problems they have. Some of them are environmental, and I would say depending on I'll just say your genes, which is largely going to be how you end up navigating that. Some people that will push them over the edge. They won't respond very well. When it comes to trust fund kids who have good parents, yes, and by the way, you can look this up. When it comes to drugs and alcoholism, there's a highly genetic, by the way. Some people are far more susceptible. A lot of what you call discipline it doesn't work the same. You're not working with the same tools as those people.
Oh, really?
Yes, absolutely.
Wait, were you done? I really want to hear where you're going with this. It sounds like you were, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like you are taking a moment to, as critical as you can be, and I think you have a right to be that way, to just kind of the environmentalist influences that Bima was pointing out earlier, that might manifest as like a lack of discipline or a lack of vision or a lack of that will probably start in the home, parents, peers, all the things that influence people and maybe guide their decision making, right?
Yeah, well, I think the environment and your genes.
And genes too.
Those two things obviously are going to shape your life tremendously. We have examples of this where you have highly criminal. I would say the gypsies in Hungary, when the Soviets took over, they were rather similar, and I'm going to be very direct when I say this. I think the Roma gypsy culture is a criminal, corrupt, dirty, bad culture, and it creates criminals out of their children, and the cycle's going to continue. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, I work with that population. Can I offer a quick comment?
Okay.
So I work with that population. Not particularly the Roma gypsies, but there's a high population of nomadic people who are very similar in northern Morocco, and they often immigrate to Spain. And I worked in Spain for about a year with these nomadic youth, and exactly what you're observing is what they articulate to me. I didn't know anything about that population being in the area that I was working in and living in for a year. And so what they say is, when I talk to them in the classroom, and I was there as a English language and culture guide, so just talking to them about what their options are globally, how to be global citizens, and of course supporting their actual English instruction. What they communicate with me on a daily basis is they didn't give a piss what I had to say about their future, because their future was already predetermined by what their parents were struggling with. Their future was already predetermined because they could only think in terms of survival, because that's what that nomadic gypsy culture is oriented towards. They have to move around. They immigrate from country to country, space to space, highland to lowland, and they can't afford to think beyond survival. Now let's transplant that to some of the other American contexts that you were.
Well, I was talking about Roma. If I can get back to that Roma gypsy example,
go ahead.
Because I wanted to give you an example of groups of people where the environment changed and then they change. The Roma gypsies in Hungary.
Do they change or they move?
The Soviets. They couldn't leave. The Soviets basically said, "Hey, you fucking thieving gypsies! All of your kids are going to fucking school. All of this gypsy nonsense, you're gonna knock it off, or you're gonna face the wall." That's that. Okay. When it comes to you're gonna work. You're gonna do all of this stuff. And within a generation, basically, all of that gypsy lifestyle just disappeared. The gypsies actually, there's still the music, the food, which gypsy food was always kind of popular in Hungary.
Okay.
That disappeared. You can look at the Southeast Asians that ended up immigrating here in the the 70s through the 90s. They were highly violent, highly criminal, big into gangs, and now they have very low crime rates. They surpass white Americans in terms of receiving college degrees, lower levels of interactions with the law enforcement, all of that stuff. And that is environment. It's not, their genes didn't change over one generation. So I do think some people, it's not just like Edward would say, oh, maybe they just started to make better decisions. No, I think that their parents that were immigrants, they're literal. A lot of these people were literal peasants from a very poor, violent place. They didn't know how to raise their kids really in America. I mean, it's a place that's completely foreign to them.
Okay, I understand why I was thinking differently based on my experience now. So let me ask you this. So I want to make sure I'm understanding, you properly this time. In that particular cultural context, you said the government intervened, required them to assimilate into the educational system, and within a generation, the culture, or subculture rather, changed, right?
Yeah, they were not allowed to do any of the thieving gypsy bullshit.
Right, okay. So, I guess would you say that was a net positive or a net negative?
Net positive. I mean, even if and I get it for Roma gypsies.
Yeah.
That is a historical. We are in a way kind of like taking a knife and cutting a chunk of their actual culture out. But I'm sorry, if your culture is being a fucking thief and doing the shit that they do, I don't know what to tell you. You guys can go form your own fucking country, which you're not going to be able to. Otherwise, you have to exist with the rest of us, and we don't steal from people.
Bingo, you right there, Pepe. If you could articulate that, then you could start to understand what equity is. They wanted to disrupt the systems and the culture of the gypsy class so that they have comparable experiences and outcomes and could contribute positively to society.
Well, the outcomes part is, here's where I disagree on the outcomes part.
Okay, tell me, because I'm not as familiar with that context.
Sure. So I think that, like, compared to, like, white people, there's a few groups that do better. You have some, what I would call purely merit-based immigrants, which are, like, the Igbo, Nigerians, you have the Northeast Asians and probably even the Southeast Asians to an extent. Jews do better than at least white non-Jews. There's groups of people that do better than us. Now, I personally, I think some of it is cultural. I do think that group averages are a result of genetic differences between groups. I don't think that whites, for example, are going to be able to surpass East Asians as a group. Not as individuals, but as a group. I don't think we can do as well as them academically. When it comes to, Ashkenazi Jews, I think there's a gap in especially a few areas that it's largely genetic. And I also think they really value education. It's cultural, but I think there's a genetic component where we're just not going to catch up to them. At least, maybe, hundreds of years from now will be the same, but not. I don't think culture can remedy that. I think with black people, there's kind of a similar thing going on. I don't think that as a group average, they can perform the same academically as for example, whites can. And once again, I'm not talking about individuals, I'm talking about as a whole group. I think we can improve the conditions of African Americans. So, like when it comes to intergenerational dysfunction, them, taking a lot of the negative shit out of their society, I think would be good. Promoting them being, educated, doing what's right, hardworking, all of that shit that successful groups, including groups that are more successful than whites do, I think would be a good thing. But do I think we can make it so black people, at least within any amount of time close to now, can be at parity with whites? Not really. That's just my opinion.
So let me ask you about. We have to go back to the Soviet context really quickly. So I want to think about. So again, I see a parallel there with equity. So are you thinking about the gypsy also genetically inferior, or?
I just want to say hello to everybody. Hello. Gypsies have one of their jobs.
We just need Pepe to answer this, and I would love to ask. Can we just get a yes or no from Pepe? Then I'd love to.
I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I don't know when it comes to how they do.
That's how you're thinking.
No, as they do. I don't know how gypsies in Hungary do academically. I just know that they stop being criminals. I don't know.
Right. And so my knowledge of that, I'm going to yield right after this. What also going to point out that when you ask people outside of the United States, particularly those Eastern Asians that you're talking about that excel academically, when you ask them their perspective about any of their counterparts, so white Americans or white people in the West.
Many times.
Okay, so my perspective and my experience has been that they attribute the lack of accomplishment achievement to a lack of discipline, not to some genetic factor. So is that not the response that you receive when you engage them in their space?
I've done. I've had varying. So they're just like, I would say, much in a similar fashion that you'll see Westerners. Some of them will say that. Some of them will say that they do think that there's they give they do believe heredity plays a large role, and they do think that, like, for example, they are smarter than the Vietnamese.
Okay,
Which one do you get more? Just out of curiosity. And was just Eastern Asians to whites?
Well, because I've had most of the conversations on here, I would say that, and obviously the people who would talk to me, it's going to create a bias. I'd say it's roughly even. So,
fair.
But that's not a fair.
I'll yield. I won't dominate the conversation. Thank you, buddy.
You didn't dominate. So I'm going to ask both you, Pepe, and Mitch a question. After the Emancipation Proclamation, for 100 years, how well did blacks do in the United States?
You said for how many years? For 100 years?
100 years after, from 1865 until early 1900s, how well did blacks do in the United States?
Better than blacks anywhere else in the world.
Relative to what? Relative to blacks in the United States before that point?
No. Relative to when you use the term equity, because that term does not go. Look at better than today. Say it again, Holly. Holly tell you better than today. And the reason why, because they focus on family. They focus on personal responsibility.
Okay.
Blacks did extremely well. Well, listen, my grandpa was born in the late 1800s. My dad was born in 1919. Okay, they both was married to the same woman. My grandpa had 49 children. He was married 49 years, had 11 children. My dad was married for about 50. Both served in the military. And you know what they did? They served not because they were black. They were just honorable men. And I'm going to keep saying this to you guys. We have to stop thinking that people are doing stuff based on their ethnicity. People do things based on who they are as individuals. If you don't study, you don't show up on time, you don't do things you're supposed to do, I don't care who you think you are, okay? We have to stop this stuff about, you know what? It's because, no. Listen, both my children are very successful, not just because of their parents, because they did their homework and they studied hard, they bust their butt.
But don't you think there's a bias there? Like, the reason why you're talking, when you talk about individuals and individual responsibility, that works on an individual level. But if you're to look at, for example, groups of people and why there's group differences.
You look so nice.
What?
No. One second, B-Mom. Go ahead. Go ahead, Kathy.
No. What I was going to say is, though, you see the group differences between people. Now, I would say even you would agree that, for example, East Asians and people of East Indian descent, how they raise their kids, on average, culturally, their worldview, which extends to how they raise their kids. They take education on average more seriously than, let's say, whites or blacks that were born in America. I would say that is definitely true at a population level.
Yeah, definitely. I don't disagree. Just because a people group focus on something and they spend 9,000 hours more than other people groups doesn't make them smarter. They spend 9,000 hours on a subject that makes them different. Do you understand? I know, because I live in a community where they have Saturday school, and most of the Asians in Orange County go to Saturday school. You know why they go to Saturday school? Because they want their kids to they want their kids to, you guys, listen, everybody can focus on the same thing. We all have the same opportunity, but you're not going to get the same results.
But that's downstream of their culture, though. Like, they have to put a curfew at 11 p.m. in Asia for these schools.
Listen to me, Pepe. Listen, Pepe. I studied when I was in high school, okay? I studied when I was in college. And you know what I still do today, 2026? I'm still studying. I'm still learning. I'm doing everything I can in my profession to become the best.
That's something okay?
Well, let me say, no. Someone's speaking right now. Could you wait 1 second a minute? No problem. So all I'm saying to you is this. I just want to make sure that we don't try to make people group. Everyone does not get the benefit of what my wife and I worked on as two people. You talk about individual. There's nothing but individual, guys. Every people group are nothing but a bunch of individuals. And if the individual does not do their individual part, pay their bills on time. They're going to do everything they have to do. You know why? Because everyone, I don't care who you are, I don't care who you think you are, I don't care I don't care how long your driveway is. You and I have one thing in common, okay? Choices. I choose.
I answer all your questions, Edward. Can I?
Everybody move differently.
No, only was supposed to go after me. Can we give him a minute? I don't know.
That's a winning
He's not a troll.
mentality.
He was after me.
The thing is, the culture of winning, the culture of the success, because they together. If you look at the Jewish community, they all work together. They all help each other. Like a Persian, we hate each other. As soon as one of us gets success, instead of we backing him up.
I seen that on South Park.
Huh?
I seen Persians on South Park.
They're doing the scissors.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure something as like you could understand the reason that one group of people are, we want to make a joke like that, okay, whatever. But the reason the Jewish people are success because they help each other. They don't backstab.
What the hell?
Yeah, you don't know about the Jewish culture.
No, I know. I know you about to get canceled.
My house is a block away from the Jewish school. I live in a Jewish neighborhood. I live in Skokie, Illinois. So it's all the Jewish are basically live in the neighborhood. The reason I'm telling you, they even helped other culture. I had a family trip. We couldn't pay the bills, the electric bill. That was behind for 1 month. It was a community. They were like helping the other Jewish poor people. They came and helped this person and this person. Okay? So even that person
is talking about, man.
no, listen. The reason
Garbage.
we have success because we can be as a one hand. We are separate fingers. Separate fingers doesn't work. One hand work way better on separate fingers.
Well, I think okay, the Jews are an odd group in the sense that they were okay. So obviously, the Romans ended up. No, I'm talking about the Jews, not Israel. The Jews were fair. They were expelled from Israel, so they went to Africa, Asia, and Europe, and in all of those countries, they were like absolute minorities. And so, and of course, for mainly religious reasons, they were always, and of course, being of a different religion, even a century ago, let alone 5 centuries ago or 1,500 years ago, was a huge fucking deal. And these people were that would all I would say is that would really suck to be a fucking minority, religious minority in any of these countries, really. And so do I think they've had like centuries of having to kind of support each other, and in a way it's like a way of persevering as a small minority, because they're still an absolute small minority. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of a group. There's very small groups smaller than them that exist in places like the Middle East. But I mean, to this day, that you don't really have them. You had some in Europe, but that it's not really a problem for them now. But yeah,
my country.
But I think that Persians, there's like 90 million of you guys in Iran, and I don't know how many millions live outside. You guys aren't like a super small minority.
There's a lot of separation in Iran. Like Kurdish, the Turkish, everybody wants to have their own little space, little country, that's the most problem we have in Iran right now, because they put this separation, they make the brainwash them, so everybody fighting with everybody. So if they're not together, if they're not in one group, they always could take advantage of them. That's why they're keeping them always separate. They're keeping them all culture-wise, they brainwash them, and they're keeping them like, they don't let them keep as a one group.
The IRGC, I think we all agree the IRGC sucks. And
it super sucks, dog.
JR, when I was sharing
one thing I was going to mention before we start, I'm sorry. The Jews we were talking about, You know, gypsies have a job as a stealing as a job. You know this, right?
You gypsies is crazy.
Yeah, but no, gypsies do. Yeah, no. Yeah, that is that's true.
I live with them.
We went from talking about Turkish, gypsy, like, where is going?
I'm saying, going back to you gypsies from earlier.
Listen, every culture has something bad. Every culture.
Yo, you have ADHD, man. Like, seriously.
Yeah, you're right. Okay,
I have my own religion.
all right. So this is for JR and Miss. What I was sharing earlier, you both put an X on the actual comment or statement. So I'd like for both of you to share, what did you decide that you thought I said that was worthy of an X?
Chad, I don't remember what you were talking about because you made a lot of points I disagree with, honestly. You don't have to go.
All I want to say is if you're too obedient to the system, you're a slave to capitalism, in my opinion.
I mean, even your illustration, the weak link causes the most tension. No, it just cracks under tension. Like, nothing you were saying made sense to me, honestly. And, I'm from, a similar background. I had an interesting home life, but in predominantly white towns and institutions. I live and work. You'll be surprised. I actually work for a very conservative organization, a legal advocacy group, one of the biggest ones in the country. If you know what they are, then you know where I work because it's the biggest in the country. So it's not that I inherently have something against white people or people who consider themselves white adjacent, black elite, whatever you want to call it. I do think, however, sometimes black people, when they consider themselves elite or the one who made it out, they tend to live in some sort of cognitive dissonance. And maybe that cognitive dissonance is because, like you said earlier, you don't have personal experiences with overt racism, whereas I do, and so maybe I can identify that cognitive dissonance a little bit better. But yeah, I just what you're saying just doesn't resonate with me, and I think even your illustrations fall apart as you continue to speak.
Basically, she said you were lame.
And the reason why that's the case in this is because that's how you have decided to see the world.
No, it's because you talk about your anecdote and your lived experience. So I'm going experience for experience. So don't try to cage me in as though my conversation was lower limited when all you talked about was anecdotes. So I've already conceded that point that we're both very informed by our backgrounds and our perspectives, which again you spoke to quite a bit.
Okay, that's all I can speak to. I can't speak to your anecdotes or anything else. Okay,
exactly.
And the reason
that's
why
I didn't have nothing to say while you're talking, but you asked me, so now I'm talking.
I understand, but you're telling me that my anecdotes, even though they're different than yours, are not valid. That's what you're telling me. That's why you put an X. Because instead of you saying, I understand that Edward's anecdote is Edward's anecdote, and yours is yours. Because you know what? I did not get to live your experience, and I would never do it. I can't live JR's experience. I can't live no one's on this platform experience. You know why? Because I'm not you. And this is the challenge that we have. We like to believe that people...
Simply not what I said. That's not what I said.
All right, so please explain to me again so that I can make sure I understand.
Sure. I think that you have the luxury of being removed from the realities of overt racism. And then, as a corollary of that, the way you think about things and the way that you talk about them in analogies falls apart. And it's demonstrated by the very concrete analogy that you gave. A weak link doesn't mean that it causes friction. It folds first under tension. It's literally not even coherent, the analogy that you use. So that belies some sort of cognitive dissonance in your speech. I'm not saying your experience is invalid. I'm just saying you have the luxury of being removed from overt racism. And that's what you talked about.
They have to keep racism like this to keep you guys. That's what happened. That's they give you guys an easy access to the money. They teach them minority people. They teach them. I grew up in black neighborhoods all the time. I was working in black neighborhoods for 15 years. That's the only people I was dealing. That was the black people because I was selling cars, cheap cars for minorities. But the thing is, you guys, they brainwash us in America. I think when you guys, even the poorer people coming in, oh, you could use the welfare, you could use this, getting money from government. So the way they teach us did not work for our success. When you come here to the country from especially different countries, if you don't start working and you try to be getting money from government, and that way they'll keep you lazy. They don't want to get success and grow. So give you like they give you money. Why the government give you money for not working? You know what I'm saying? Because you the way the low level you are not thinking, easy money coming.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah, okay. JR, could you go ahead? I'm gonna move on, JR. JR, could you show me why you gave me an X? I'm just curious, that's all.
Oh, I even forgot the point, man. I really feel like, okay, if you're more obedient to capitalism, then you're almost like a slave, right? So that's where I was going with that point.
Basically, the white people.
No, hang on, man. You don't understand this.
Yeah, you gotta stop interrupting, bro. Give us some time. Go ahead. I'm sorry, JR.
Yeah, I mean, you could do all the things right, but at the end of the day, you're just following a system, and that system is just making you a little bit of a slave, right? It's about time we start questioning the system. We all get pitted against each other, in my opinion, and that's why it's always about this race versus that race versus this accent versus the other accent. You know, like I see this all the fucking time, and normal people get pitted against each other, right? So I think that's a big problem. I wish. I mean, yeah, you could do all the things right. I mean, like, at the end of the day, man, you're competing with other human beings, okay? And your kids did right, wrong, whatever the case may be, right? But at the end of the day, man, it's a race. It's a rat race, okay? Everyone's trying hard, and it doesn't mean like, okay, if your kids succeed, doesn't mean like, okay, other people are doing something wrong. That's all I want to say. Yeah.
No, JR, I hear you, but I'm trying to figure out, based on the things I've talked about, how did you get capitalism out of that?
Wait, how did I get the capitalism into it?
Yeah.
It's all about capitalism, man, at the end of the day. Trust me on this one.
Well, I can't trust you because I'm just trying to figure out what did I communicate that you thought of.
No, okay, so you said, your kids work really hard, right? They're not lazy. Yeah, I mean, there are many people who are not lazy. They're very hardworking people, but they don't really get the fair share because of whatever the reason is, right? There are a lot of isms out there, okay? So, all I'm trying to say is like, okay, you can get lucky, but at the same time, it's not easy. Even if you're a hardworking man, like if you do all the things right, still you don't get your peace. You know, that's what I'm trying to say. And so like, let's say if you see a bum or someone who's like failure. I mean, I would not judge that person. That's what I'm trying to say.
If you see it, that's his choice. That's the problem.
Hey, man, you gotta stop doing that, man. It's okay, bro.
He was by the end, right?
Yeah, he was. Okay, no problem. Thank you for that. You guys are free to move on.
But pretty soon, they don't even want the humans, man. Pretty soon the robots gonna take care of us, take care of our jobs and shit. So the slavery gonna be on robots, not in humans. So they're gonna get rid of all of us somewhere very soon.
No, really, Edward, I feel like what you presented was a winning mentality. And what's so profound about it is that it goes beyond race. Like, we could all take a little bit of that mentality and better our lives, so I appreciate it.
All I'm trying to say is, the world is not a fair. Hang on, the world is not a fair and square place. That's you could be a very hardworking person, but at the same time, it's not fair and square. That's all I'm trying to say.
Edward, can I say something to you?
No. Can I finish talking to him and then you can say anything?
Sure, sir.
You just said move on. Did I miss something?
No. Yes, you did. I actually made a comment. Did you hear his comment?
And did he make it to you directly? Because I don't think that happened.
Yes, he did. Okay, please repeat what you said to me.
He didn't. He said you made a nice comment, and then he expounded upon that. He agreed with you, but I didn't know. You know what? Do what you want. Do what you want. Keep sending it. You're absolutely right.
Girl, what do you have against Edward? Because I didn't say anything to you negative. I'm just trying to figure out. I have zero against you. Don't know you. Never met you. I'm not centering myself. I'm asking questions. It's really interesting.
I think she thinks you're being a coon. I'm serious.
No, you know what? Frankly, I wasn't going to say that, but I do disagree with you fundamentally. But I was excited that you said move on, and I want to hear other voices. But that's again my fault if I was out of turn and you wanted to just respond. You take it away. Go ahead, Victor.
I really want to ask you a question. I don't want to ask you a question. Hello, me? Oh, Miss.
Yes, sir.
That's why I married a white woman, Mr. Edward.
Yes.
All you guys keep derailing the conversation, man.
So junior. So when it comes to here's the thing about I guess you could say I'm more like if you had to define me as a capitalist, like a Jeffersonian capitalist, which was very wary of monopolies and large conglomerates that could basically have they could use their money and their influence to sway the government and in a way the democracy we live under. I do think that I am somebody who thinks that like when it comes to socialism, no, I get it. You know, I'll just be clear. I don't have a problem with how like the Scandinavians, they have super high taxes but like really big safety nets. That's fine. That's how they live. They are way less corrupt than we are. They're just much more trust and altruistic societies than I think anywhere else in Europe or anywhere in the fucking world, including especially the United States. That I don't know that we could do that because we are a very corrupt group of people. That you increase taxes, that it's fucking wasted. There's fraud. There's nothing but abuse with their fucking taxes. And now, that's not what I would necessarily prefer, but I don't think I don't think it's like a morally a bad thing. Now, when it comes to let's say capitalism versus socialism, I would say yes, capitalism, you have greed, you have people that are going to do a lot of things that are unfair to try to capitalize on, whatever they have going on. But I don't, but that's always been the case, even in like whatever communist country you've had. And I do think that what a lot of people miss is that, okay, human nature, we do compete with each other and we're not fair people. No, there's no group of people that is fair. The Jews, the Christians, the Muslims, it doesn't matter your fucking race. All of you people who want to say, oh, well, we're just, no, you fuckers are not fair. Okay? That's just how we are as people. We're flawed. If we look at like what ends up producing the greatest benefit,
but is that a bottom line though? Like, is that like, okay, we just accept the system and
no? But I mean, it's what we have now, and it's so. I guess my question would be: so that's what we have now. Technologically, we're probably I mean, think about the level of technological advancements you've seen just in the last 100 years. That's unprecedented throughout human history. What is going to happen even 50 years from now? I don't fucking know.
Yeah, they all have iPhones, and I think a lot of people are isolated. There's a lot of depression problems. Suicide rates are going up.
But that pales in
People
comparison
don't bond.
to
Yeah. Go on.
But that pales in comparison to the what human beings were dealing with even 100 years ago. I mean, you could be the president's son. You got a foot infection and you fucking die. There's no antibiotics. You dying of starvation and cholera was the norm throughout most of the fucking world. The average life expectancy in Africa 100 years ago, I think, was in the 30s. Things have changed drastically under a primarily capitalist model. I would say the most violent, oppressive people or systems in this world throughout history, they were fucking communists. I mean, you can't really get around that. Yes, we've had groups like, you know, the Nazis, some fascism, which I think is more or less just a very reactionary movement that doesn't exist without wartime conditions. But, you know, can you make an argument, if we look at everything that was created from capitalism, everything that you see today, you have Africans on the internet that were dying of simple diseases that are getting, you know, basically sanitized water now that did not have access to it. You're getting, just think of how much under this, and I get it, yes, it is unfair. I agree with you, capitalism is unfair. But I don't see the other alternatives as being more fair. But with capitalism, like, you do get the best outcomes, and it causes the least amount of human suffering. And that's the only reason why communism has been tried time and time again. It's always fucking failed. There's always somebody who thinks they can have another reiteration of it where it's going to work, and it never works. So why fucking do it?
I mean, if we're going to talk about socialism and capitalism, I think communism is probably not really what a lot of people hopefully are looking towards. But if you want, we could define it too. But I think that if we're going to talk about those three things, we should probably define them so we can clearly identify the differences.
Socialism means you're retarded. Capitalism means you're really retarded. That's the definition of socialism.
I would like that.
Get fucked this.
I do quite often.
Yeah, AI and job loss. Like, what are you gonna do with that? Like, let's say everyone loses their jobs. I hear Pepe what he's trying to say, but look, are we optimizing? I mean, is the system actually really optimized, or is going to be a quick collapse, right? Meaning like AI, job loss, blah blah blah, right? Population is 8 billion people on the planet. We don't need a lot of labor. And then at the end of the day, the only people that actually benefit are all trillionaires, okay? People who
Yes, I get that.
Okay, so where are we heading? I mean, like, come on, this is like an exercise people would have, or I would have that, you know, other people would brought up. I didn't bring this up, but imagine you had extreme wealth disparity. Extreme. But this extreme would be, your house would be a house that would be equivalent to $2 million today. But your neighbor had a house that was, I don't know, $100 million. And you had this extreme inequality where
a bunch of people had these $100 million houses, and then you poor peons had $2 million houses that you would see. I'm using for today's, adjusted for today's, dollar, but everybody got access to go on vacations, to have great health care, to have whatever it is that you fucking want. Now, is that necessarily wrong?
Yeah, does everyone have access to healthcare right now? Like, let's.
No, I'm using a hypothetical. I use the hypothetical for a reason, with those parameters for a reason.
Yeah, but that's what, in 20 years, 15 years?
No, it's a hypothetical. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. Hypothetical. Can I do that real quick? So I think that is the nature of the question in the political climate right now. For some reason, a direct answer to the question, no. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that in that hypothetical, it's a good thing because at those levels, again, if we're assuming that all is equivalent and at least quality to what it is now, everyone's basic needs are met and beyond that, right? And I think that's what people are vying for. But I do think there is.
But AI would steal your job. Is that okay?
Okay, but now we're using a hypothetical for a reason.
Point. Yeah, I do think that there is a segment of the population that thinks that's a problem, and that having everyone's basic needs met is a threat to another that lives very luxuriously. It lives in the $10 million homes, but I don't think they can.
Do you think they think it's threatening, or do you think that I do think that.
Can I go?
Hear the rest of the thought.
Sure, but let her answer the question. So I don't look at it as seeing people as a threat necessarily. I do think people like Jeff Bezos, they're going to do whatever they can to remain the most profitable and dominate in whatever sector they're in. Right. Yes, and keep wages competitive, yet not too much, because that's going to cut into profits. And yeah, absolutely.
Bezos is just, people are jealous of that man. He sold books on the internet, and they thought he couldn't do it.
Okay, Jesus Christ, this is not.
We're talking hypotheticals.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, okay, God damn it, dude.
Yeah, let's just get through this. So I think you're right. I do think there will be. For there to be any hierarchy, I'm assuming this hypothetical has to function on some sort of mixed economy where people can be capitalists, like you're saying. They can have their own upper mobility and set their own goals and negotiate a business the way they want to do it, right? But there obviously is some sort of limiter. There's some sort of equalizer, right? So some sort of economy. What's so funny is I don't think it'll be the Bezoses who will have an issue with this. It won't be those people. It'll be people who lie somewhere in the middle between the 1 million and the 10 million. Because that's what's playing out right now.
Which people are you referring to? I mean, just purely on class, or
purely on socioeconomic class? Yes.
Okay.
Because this happens across racial groups and across other demographics, but purely on socioeconomic class, this is happening now. People are middle class, so regardless of whether we're talking about white working class, whether we're talking about the black elite, whether we're talking about high achieving, Asian model minority, it doesn't matter. The middle class always sees lower class as a threat, because in order to maintain their status, there has to be somebody lower than them. I don't know if we'll ever get away from a place.
The hypotheticals are pipe dreams. Come on. Why
because it's a mental exercise. I'm trying to gauge her.
But it's not really solving the problem.
Yeah, hold on. The reason I asked her that question in particular is just how much the inequality part matters to her, or how much she cares about the well-being of the population in general. That's why I gave a scenario where everybody's very well off, okay, but there's disparities between the wealth of everybody. That's the only reason why. And yes, obviously they're not going to. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
So I think I will have more to say, but I think I've answered that. I think that would be a perfectly legitimate and acceptable society. I think the issue now is there are legitimate people who do not have their basic needs met. And I think in a society where everyone has their basic needs met, they have a reasonable quality of life. Because again, we're talking about 1 million now and 10 million now. So everyone has you said they all have access to vacations. I think that's a very reasonable society that I'd be happy to be part of.
Well, I guess here's the question though. So JR has a lot of complaints.
Yeah, let's hear something now.
But JR, what do you think? What system? What form of?
I'll answer your question, Pepe. Before you go to JR. Why do you believe that my
for JR, just always think proxy server.
Why do you believe that my intellectual property should be shared with anyone?
I'm not a communist. I don't know what you're talking about.
No. You just said equity. You guys want equity.
I never said I wanted equity. What are you fucking talking about?
Okay. You don't have to swear at me, Pepe. Okay?
My bad. I'm a Christian man. My bad.
No. I never told you. I don't know why you keep saying that.
You're a typical Christian boomer. Like, you're just like, don't say those curse words in front of me.
No, I didn't say not say them in front of me. Pepe, you cuss every guy.
Yes,
I said don't cuss at me. That's all. It's a big difference.
I was cussing in front of you, to be fair. I wasn't cussing at you. I didn't say, like, fuck you. I just said fuck or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to ask the question again. And I know you didn't say it, but you were having a conversation with Miss, okay, about if someone makes, she said 1 million or 10 million, what gives anyone the right to take the money that my wife and I earn in our life and redistribute it to other people?
I don't think there's any man, God-given man. I don't think in human nature there's any right.
That's socialism.
Yeah, so I don't think there's any right that exists. The reason I brought up that whole scenario was it was literally an unrealistic hypothetical. It was just to gauge where her values were, not whether or not either of us thought that was realistic.
I have a question.
I don't know.
I have answer. I've been waiting.
I know you've been waiting, but you could still wait, okay? Because I'm speaking.
You're so rude for someone who wants so much respect. But I'm assuming you brought that point up because I did read into I did speculate about what the economic situation might be in order to make that work. But I think Pepe and I realized that was not the central point of either of our arguments. So I'm happy to not argue it like Pepe is.
Yeah, I'm not. Neither of us, I think, are.
No, we're not interested in arguing that. That wasn't any essential.
I have answer for your question, Edward, and I have a question for you, if you want, about your point that you just mentioned. Maybe there is a right. Maybe there is like a point of view that there is a right that the government can take some money from you to the poor people if you are very rich, and this is like something good for you. Think about like think about the community, the whole country and the community. If they are not living in like such a good mental health, if they are not mentally in a mentally health status, you might be affected. Even if you are rich, you might be affected by poor people who are feeling that they are very poor and they are looking to their neighbors that they are very rich and they cannot live. You might be affected. Your children might be affected. So the government has the right not to take your money, but they should put like some kind of rule to make a minimum like right of life for each one in the country. And this is the responsibility. You already should elect a president and elect a government to do this job, which is everybody has the right to live a good life, so that there will be not a very big gap
between somebody who's very rich and another person can't just live in the street.
What do you do? What do you do? How do you make it so the person? So you understand that like people exist spectrum. So you can have you literally have people that you can have like a brilliant, extremely brilliant sibling. Let's say it's your sister.
Yeah,
and then you can be around average intelligence, but then for whatever reason you have another sister that is, she's like 80 IQ. Kind of hard to do anything with that. And I don't mean this in, I don't mean this like in a mean way, but
I get your point.
Yeah, and so like, okay, so what do you do with the 80 IQ person that wants to? Obviously, they want to live like everybody else, but
no, I didn't say that everybody will be the same, but there will be a minimum of limit. Everybody should have like a good life, but some people, if they are smart and they are very active and they are working very hard, they should be more rich than other people. That's normal. I didn't say that we will divide that. How it depends. It will be a spectrum also, but not like now. Do you think the government now is? I have another question for you and Edward. Do you think the government now?
I'm waiting.
One second, Stevie. 1 second. Do you think the government now is caring about the people, caring about how the people is living to be living in a good life, or what do you think the government now?
They only care so much as they only care, in my personal opinion, they only care so much as it will affect their voters and whether or not they'll vote for them.
So they care about if the people will be silent. If they are just silent, just don't protest or don't turn against them. That's it. Even if
the system is all working right now, man.
Hold on. So how do you pronounce your name, sir?
Ziad. It's written in Arabic. Let me check. Yeah, Ziad. In my username, you can call it Ziad.
Okay, Ziad. Okay. So I'm gonna ask you a question. Okay. Do you think that the government have my interest in mind more than I do?
I can't tell this. I can't answer something around you, but I can give the answer in average. I can maybe about you yourself, or on average about the people in the country.
No. I'm gonna be very specific. Do you think that a government anywhere has my interest in mind better than Edward?
I didn't get your question clearly.
I'm gonna say it again. Do you think I have my interest in mind better than someone else that don't know me? Do you think there's some person out there who think they know Edward and know what's best for Edward better than Edward?
Edward. Okay, I get your question from the first time, but you change it in the second time. Okay, your question is you ask about yourself personally, yourself.
Yes, correct.
The government don't care about you, Edward. You're just one person in millions of people.
I know. Hold on. I live in the United States, and we have something that says we hold these truths to be self-evident. Self-evident. My mayor in the city I live in, the sheriff, my congresswoman, because I have a congresswoman, okay? The governor of the state of California does not have Edward's best interest in mind more than Edward. So I personally believe that our founding fathers made it very clear for Edward to make sure that I keep the government out of my life to the best of my ability.
Edward. I want you to finish, but you don't know. You can wait. You can wait.
I have a constitutional federal fucking republic, though. Like, that is where we are empowered for the government to represent us.
Stevie, interrupt a lot.
Yeah, I don't know why you guys believe in your mind that there's someone who has your interest in mind better than you.
Nobody does. Nobody does. But the government,
in average, one second, miss. On average,
what the fuck you calling miss? What the fuck?
Oh, shit. No. My name was Miss.
What's your name?
Yeah. Pepe Myra.
Miss, I almost got on someone's ass earlier for saying miss you. I was like, oh wait, that's.
Fuck that. Hey, Pepe, I wouldn't take that.
Right, just let him go. Let him go. He's ESL. He's very ESL.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, Edward, I get your point, and I agree because mostly some people are just joking about my accent in the chat, but it's fine. Edward, I get your point, and I think maybe you think that way because maybe mostly because you think you are smart and you think you have like you can like understand your life, understand yourself very well, but on average, Edward, some people are much less than you in thinking and how they manage their life, and there is some people also maybe better than you. So on average, the government should have the job to take care about the people.
Ziad, would you say that Edward acts like he knows Ziad, yes or no? Do you think that Edward acts like he's an expert on everything?
One answer that. Yeah.
No, nobody's expert in anything.
I agree, but he's a know-it-all, right?
Well, I would like to chime in, Pepe, if you don't mind. I would like to chime in. So I would like to bring up a good
Hold on, let's Snippy's been wanting to go forever, and then Miss you can go.
Be calm, Stevie.
Jeez, trying to fucking talk around here, fucking. Anyways, the problem is when you talk about lower class, middle class, everybody likes to talk about lower class. Well, the problem is, I'm going to tell you how I see it. Listen, if you're a poor individual and you're complaining that you don't have money, check yourself. Check how you spend your money. If you go out and get at your job. Don't blame the fucking economy. Don't blame your dead-end job. Hold on, my guy.
What do you work?
I'm just saying,
how much you
that was a bunch of garbage that they say.
I don't really care, JR. The reality is,
you don't care about
you don't make any sense right now.
You don't care about poor people. If there is poor
okay, you guys, you don't have to agree with what he's saying. Just let him finish, and then you guys can go after. Well, Miss can go afterwards, and then just whoever else wants to go after that.
Yeah.
Put me in the queue.
Okay, Alan, you can go after Miss. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't like what I'm about to say, but the reality is, if you can't manage your fucking money, then it's your problem. It's not the government's problem. And the other thing is, why should I have any of my hard-earned income that I went out and I put the work for go to someone else that makes bad fucking decisions in their life choices? If they have too many kids, guess what? Close your legs or wear a fucking condom. It's not my responsibility to fucking take care of you for your decisions. Okay, cool. Fucking, we can hook up later.
If you have an accident and have like some disability.
Guys, shut the fuck up. So we're trying to get to him. Okay, after he finishes, we can get to Miss, and then we can get to Alan. Like, holy shit.
I know. I'm just I agree with Edward. Why should anything that I work for have to be taken out any more than it already is? Socialism is bullshit, in my opinion. It is. And hopefully nobody here is smart enough to take it.
You sound like a blue-collar worker, man. That's it.
I am a blue-collar worker, and I'm proud of it. And why? Because, that's what runs the world. Blue-collar workers run the fucking world. And the reason why I say that is because we build what most IT see and mostly everybody uses. So accept that. Just accept the fact that blue collars are, yes, it's the most underrated work in the world, but yet it's the most profitable. But the reality is, if you're poor, check your finances, make the adjustments that you need to, and if you have to, better educate yourself or learn a trade. If you're poor, it's because there's a reason. You're bad with your money, or you make bad decisions. And you can say if you go, well, I live in an area that doesn't fucking pay. Well, guess what? You can move. There's a lot of people, and we see it with foreigners, where they come from nothing. That's what dumb fucks the shit out of me, is a lot of foreigners will come to America with barely anything. I mean, they drain the banks, and they come over here and they make a great living. I have a lot of foreigners that have left from the Middle East, from Europe, and they literally had just enough in them to get them by for a few months, and they grind like a motherfucker, and after a year, they're living middle-class life. But there are Americans here in America that will say, well, I can't do this because McDonald's doesn't fucking pay that much, and then bitch at every middle class or the wealthy because they're holding them back, but yet they like to pop babies. All right, Beaver, but there you guys go. Whether you took anything from it or not, or you guys are enjoying a good laugh, I'm enjoying your guys' rhetoric, so there you
Thank you for your submission. Go ahead, Miss.
I've forgotten half of what I had to say being on that roller coaster ride. But I will say this. I don't think anyone's advocating for it to come steal anything from anybody. I will say this. It was interesting that the Declaration of Independence was quoted because those truths that are self-evident are the inalienable rights that the Declaration acknowledges. And those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And when you also look at that in light of the 14th Amendment, that discusses citizenship, right? So he were born here, naturalized, domiciled under the jurisdiction of what was just argued at the Supreme Court. I just watched these oral arguments for myself. Again, I work for the largest legal advocacy group in the country. Not a lawyer, but I'm in that space, okay? They argued that being under the jurisdiction of denotes a reciprocal relationship by which your allegiance to the United States and you're ensured the protection thereof. Okay? So part of that is the protections in all of our legislation. All the way back to the Constitution, all the way back to the Declaration of Independence, all that. So the government does have a responsibility to ensure those inalienable rights. And those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Someone working at McDonald's who cannot afford basic needs, food, water, clothing, shelter, is a lot less likely to be positioned to pursue happiness without assistance. So I just think that it's interesting that you quoted, Edward, the Declaration of Independence, and tried to argue that protects the government from being in your affairs or whatever. And I think it does allow you freedom, of course. But, I mean, all this was instituted on, no taxation without representation. So if you're under the jurisdiction of your state and your country, which it sounds like you want to take part in, then your argument falls apart, especially when you cite the Declaration of Independence. I forgot what else I wanted to say, but I'll land there.
Is it my turn? Can you hear me?
Jesus Christ, your mic's loud.
Yeah, go ahead, Alan. Rich, shut the fuck up if you're getting moved to the audience, okay?
Compliment them.
There's no. There's no.
So
I didn't do
happiness is not. Yeah. So happiness is not based on money. So get rid of that. Happiness is an internal state. And we are each, as adults, responsible for our own well-being. There's a certain part of this whole discussion that we're dealing with adults, not children. Adults make their own decisions. They make their own choices. Some of them make good choices. Some of them make bad choices. Your bad choices are not a mortgage on my future or my own financial, physical, or emotional well-being. So let's start with that basic fact. Now, if we're discussing Marxism, putting aside the fact that Marx of the 20th century realized that they were losing the battle, so they switched class-based distinction to a race-based. I've always noticed that the people arguing for Marxism freely.
You're in the Matrix, Alan.
Is that better?
You're better now, but it's conflict. Yeah, that's better. What you're talking about is conflict theory, which I know. Bourgeoisie versus proletariats, and they ended up using that paradigm for everybody else.
Yeah, well, I think I was saying, 200 years ago, if you spoke like this, your father would have taken you out, beaten the crap out of you, and made you work 7 days a week for not contributing to the family. This country, and I'll land with this because I don't know how much is being said, this country is based on individual rights, not collective rights. It's that simple. So to keep we will take care of our poor, but using the government to do that is against American ideals, and that's the the Marxists want the government to take over.
You're absolutely correct. Yeah, you're absolutely correct, and I do think that, look, somebody who is raised Catholic, the people that are the most revered as being the devout Catholic is Mother Teresa. Someone who would just devote their lives selflessly. Of course, a lot of people hate her. Apparently, she did some bad shit. I never really bothered to look into it, but that's what they consider to be a good Catholic. At the end of the day, the world still has to run. You have to have people innovating shit, and they have to be motivated to be good doctors, good pilots, good innovators, all of that shit. And at the end of the day, which makes their lives way fucking better. And so, I do think I agree with what you're saying, and when I look at the biggest problem I have is that, when you have people like the negative versus positive rights issues that you see with leftists, that would be positive rights. Like we deserve health care. What quality? There's a level of health care that I can't even come close to affording, and most Americans can't. There's I had all of these positive, which almost always ends up infringing upon the negative rights, which is we have the right to freedom of speech, to be armed, that kind of shit. And so, when I hear a lot of this shit, it's we have the right to have access to this. You end up having to take away from somebody else, and I'm thoroughly against that for many reasons. And you're right, we are a very individualistic nation. I would say, and that's kind of in the tradition of Western Europeans in particular. And a lot of people don't realize this. Back before our immigrants that came primarily from Europe, we weren't as selective when it came to who could come here back in those times, but a huge fucking chunk of those immigrants ended up coming home because we did not have safety nets for them. They either made it or they didn't. If they couldn't make it, they just left back to Europe where they came from. But yeah, I don't. And last thing, when it comes to the government being responsible, so in other words, you want a fucking nanny state. You're basically at that point. It's just like, why would you give the federal government that much power to not only control the money you make, but they can do whatever else. And the person who said that, he said like, well, it would be better for the average citizen. Oh, okay, so how many freedoms are you willing to curtail for the betterment of the quote unquote average citizen? Like that is bullshit. And it's not what America's ever been about.
Yeah, I wanted to ask
I agree.
the sister Miss Ma'am. I wanted to ask, in your legal studies, is that what they're teaching, that life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness? That's what they're teaching. That's what that means.
No. So first of all, I haven't done any formal legal studies. Beyond like maybe a freshman in college of like civics class, which that's addressed at the high school level. So definitely would have looked at the original language. I definitely understand that the original draft of the Declaration of Independence would have included the words "the pursuit of property," but the problem is not all white people had property. Surely none of the blacks did. So there was a problem with the language. And what they decided on was to switch that out for the pursuit of happiness. So it's not necessarily that I think that the Declaration of Independence is aimed at someone's personal affect in terms of their personal joy and happiness, but I do think how people are interpreting it, and of course someone in the legal space could correct me or nuance this, is that the right would be your right to pursue the tangible things that would assure your safety and security. And so happiness in terms of your lived experience, not just your personal aspect. And again, that's tied more to your tangible things, assets, your quality of life.
What about owning firearms? Because that would be one wedge issue on the that a lot of people disagree on the right versus left. Do you think that because it would be for the betterment of the majority, that people in the United States should not own firearms?
That's a really good question. So again, I think the original language gives the right to bear arms in terms of like a militia as it's ever needed to defend people against like government, right? So what we have definitely is, as society has advanced, is a little bit different, I think, than what the writers envisioned. But I do think it is consistent with the language. So with that said, I don't take a stance, whether pro or.
But I'm just curious though. But how do you? Okay, so how can you have a militia if the federal government is in control of what arms the militia can have?
Well, that's the thing. I don't think it was ever intended to be the case that the government was in control of a militia made up of the people. It was intended to be that the people had the right to form a militia to defend themselves against federal overreach if it was necessary.
Sure, but that would mean you would have to have guns that are not
right.
That the feds cannot basically say you can't have.
Okay, so you want me to answer purely from modern day context, basically? What you're asking me to do?
Well, sure. Well, no. I mean, back then, guns killed people. They kill people today. Right. Guns are bad. Right. According to a lot of lefties, and yes, guns do cause a lot of harm. I'm not denying that. But at the end of the day, if we do have these guns to resist against tyranny, you would have to make it so that the feds cannot really dictate whether or not you can have guns, because at the end of the day, you have guns to resist them and to protect yourself, realistically.
Right. Yeah, no, I kind of agree. I think it's a touchy issue. I think we're in a really precarious situation where the government is always to restrain moral evils in terms of keep people back from harming themselves, but also give them the liberties that they rightfully deserve, right? So the government always is a mediator between the best of people and the worst of humanity. And I think what we're tapping into now is the government doing a good job as that type of moral mediator? And of course, people would probably push back on this language, but I think the overwhelming, consensus, right? Well, I don't even know if there is a consensus, but there is an ethos where people want the right to bear arms with no checks in place. And so people would say that the government is trending in the wrong direction in terms of mediating that issue.
No, I'm not one of those people who says no checks in place. I do think there are weapons that civilians should not be allowed to own, just because I personally don't trust them with them. The general public with them. I mean, me having negative or negligent discharge into my neighbor's home, that's gonna probably result in me getting my guns taken away, and it will suck. But the chances of somebody dying or getting hit are pretty small. But if I own a shoulder-fired, rocket launcher, and there's a negligent discharge, so that's a whole different story. I do think there should be, some limits.
I agree, but I think the reason that we run into problems with that is because if we have the right to bear arms, and if arms are initially intended to, again, protect personal property and also defend yourself against government overreach, federal overreach, then how far do we allow those checks to go? Because they can't have checks in place so far.
That's why there's checks and balances. That's why there's checks and balances.
Yeah, there has to be a balance. You're right. There has to be a balance to those checks because we can't put checks into place so far that people are no longer able to defend themselves against federal overreach. And I think that's what we're worried about now.
Pepe, there was a letter that was written to President Jefferson, and it was from these merchants that were running ships, and they kept getting attacked by pirates. And they said, "Hey, is it okay under the Second Amendment? Is it okay for us to have cannons on our ships?" And he said, "Yes."
Yes, we were allowed to own cannons back then, for sure.
Yeah, but the whole idea, like, we can't have repeater rifles or Gatling guns or select fire weapons.
I get it.
We have to ask for, like, tax stamps.
Okay, but should we allow people to make their own nuclear bombs where people were exposed to radiation in making it?
Those aren't firearms. Those aren't arms. I mean, I wouldn't consider them.
No, they are arms. Literally arms.
I get what you're saying. They're armaments, yeah, but nukes, maybe we can make an exception for something like that.
They say they didn't say firearms. They said they basically the Second Amendment.
Right, the bear arms. Yeah,
Which arms can be anything.
I mean, I don't know if you get it. Like basically, like we are not talking about like banning gun at all. Because that's the
issue.
Like, does it matter? Like, I can say fuck you. I can say fuck you too. Right? Doesn't matter. I just want to let you know that it's not about banning it's not banning gun because that's the constitutional way at all. We are not talking about that. We are talking about like universal background check, universal gun registration, those kind of things. It's more like how we can get a record, get a trace of it, those kind of things.
It's almost like a social credit score for Americans.
No, it's not social. It's not social credit score. It's like most of the states allow background check before you purchase the gun.
All states.
So is this that kind of thing?
Depends on who you. So because firearms are federally under federal law, every gun store, pawn shop, doesn't matter what they are. If they are allowed to sell guns, they have to go to the federal government, and they have to do the mixed background check.
But not for private sale.
Yeah, for private.
That's the problem. That's the problem right now. We are basically losing control, like we are losing track of the record. So basically basically we just want like a central database that track the record who owning which gun, like some kind of background check. That's it. Like let's do it like that.
You know what happened?
We're not talking about banning guns.
Hold on.
Hey, you know what's happening?
I'm sorry, Zig. 1 second. So Pepe, I'm gonna ask you a question. Is the government there to our rights or to our rights?
You were in the Matrix. What?
I said, is the government, to protect our rights? They don't give us rights, guys. Okay?
Yeah,
they should be there to protect our rights.
Right.
No. Okay, guys.
Constitutions are to restrict the government from overreach.
Exactly. And there you go. We restrict the government. No, we don't know.
We all know this, but you talk to us like we're third graders.
Okay, yeah, we are literally right winger. Most of us, almost all of us on stage are right wingers. I don't know about Bima, but
Yeah, but Bima knows the Constitution.
Hold on. This is what I say.
Edward, go talk about the hood book of black rooms where people don't know the shit. We all know this. You don't have to
we don't want. None of us want big daddy government.
Because you're like, no, not all of us.
Okay, Rich, shut the fuck up before you get kicked to the audience. Holy shit.
Just discusses that length in terms of government overreach in terms of arms. Like we know what we literally just discusses at length.
I don't think Edward was speaking in a condescending tone. I think he was establishing a baseline for understanding.
Exactly.
And I don't know why you guys believe that when you talk, that you're not talking in a way that's very insensitive. But you all believe that Edward is speaking condescending. Not at all. I had no reason to do that to anybody.
I will say the first time I met you, and look, I thought this was charming. I'm being 100% honest. This was several years ago. I forget what I was talking about, and you were kind of like a father figure. I don't mean that in a bad way whatsoever, but it was kind of like you trying to instill discipline and empowerment to me as an individual. And I was thinking, like, okay, yeah, what you're saying makes sense. Nothing against what you're saying. And I think that the message for individuals that you would give me was a good one. But I think that when we try to extrapolate this to like a conversation regarding the whole fucking country and things like rights, that's where it's kind of gets lost. Like I don't want to be a nanny state.
But Pepe, I hear you, but Pepe, you and I have conversations back and forth, right? As individual people, we're not having a group conversation. We think we all are, in my observation. Okay, I can only talk about my observation. But this is when I come and speak, everybody gets to speak and say whatever they want, right? No matter what. No one's being condescending. No one's cussing anybody out. Everybody gets to have a conversation. But the moment Edward says something, it's condescending. It's not correct. It's this and that.
Welcome to being a boomer. That's how people are.
No.
It's what you said earlier, Pepe. We've already established we're having an internal conversation. And so to keep beating that horse is crazy. Like, it's kind of crazy.
I know, Miss. I know. I got it, Miss. I don't know why, Miss, you have such a challenge. You have zero mic control, but it's okay. I got it. And you believe that I'm supposed to be polite to you.
He literally just did it right now.
Before I did. 3 people pushed back before I did. But I
got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Make it personal.
3 people pushed back. I will make it personal.
And I'm the only independent / left-leaning person on stage.
No, you're not.
So hold on. So since I do have the opportunity to speak in another space on a consistent basis, I'm going to give you my understanding. Okay? The government is only formed to ensure the right that Edward has. They do not come from the government. Okay? I have a right to bear arms, which I do, and the government can't do anything about it.
But let me guess, you're a law-abiding Californian that has guns that are compliant and quite frankly, very limit your ability to protect yourself.
Well, they don't limit my ability because I have an arm that will fire if you come in my home.
Okay, sure, but here's the funny thing is that I had a CDU. It laps, but I'm just too lazy to use it. But if I want to, I can go with a nice 30 round banana round magazine taped with another one attached to it, and on an AK-47, drive around with it in my fucking car, no permit needed, and I'm not gonna do anything bad with it, but I can protect myself with it. Like, I literally have that right, and I can carry. I think you guys are limited to 10 rounds when it comes to carrying a fucking gun, which is fucking retarded. And the reason it's retarded is even the police officers in California, they carry 17 round magazines generally, with several backup magazines because they realize that it's okay. Amazing.
So Pepe, listen to what you just said. This is what we mean by the government overreaching, right?
Absolutely, California.
So this is why we want to push back against people who are elected officials that believe because they're elected officials, they have some authority over the people. Okay? We have the only constitution in the whole world that has limited government in it. We want limited government because our founders thought that we can govern ourselves. That's what they thought. So the overreach that I personally believe, again, only for Edward, is that people believe that the government should come and help them when they make bad decisions or poor decisions. And I just want to say hello. I'm going to land on this. Hello, Sig. Hello, Matt. Hello, Beaver. Just wanted to say hello to them.
So I got a wrench. I got a wrench for y'all. Clock.
Hold on, Truth. I wanted to address something Hank was saying. Hank, about the registry. So you were advocating for a gun registry, correct? Government sponsored gun registry.
Yeah. Basically, I'm agreeing on both like universal gun registry and universal like background check.
Okay.
Wait, what have you? He said government.
Yes, he's a Chinese communist support.
Oh, if he's
I'm Chinese. I'm Chinese communist. Yeah.
So are you aware?
He's so stupid, man.
What did he say? He said government.
So are you aware of what's going on in Canada right now as we speak with that registry that they drafted into law, Hank?
I'm not aware of it. What's going on?
Okay. So right now, Canada has a government-sponsored central database for gun owners. They did what's called a mandatory buyback, where the government said, "Hey, every citizen needs to bring their guns, and we're going to purchase them for whatever price we deem necessary. Whether you pay $2,000 for your gun or $5 for your gun, we're going to give you the value that we think is adequate. So if you paid $2,000 towards a gun and they wanted to give you $150 Visa gift card or gas card or something, by law you have to do it. And only they had less than 20% of their residents turn in guns, or it might have been less than 5%. It's below 20%. I know it was a really, really low number. The government was upset. So that central database that they've had for years ago, ordering their police to go door to door based on this registry and now confiscate the guns. And the police is saying, fuck no. Police is saying, fuck no, because now you're pretty much signing us up for a suicide mission. We go knocking on people's doors and man their guns. They're going to use those guns against us. So, the central database that you're advocating for, Hank, that this is the reason why governments use it. And every single dictator that we've seen in the past, historically, that handled a central firearm database, this is exactly what they've done with it. They've used it to go door to door to confiscate guns from its citizens.
We don't need the database. It's not going to solve crime. It's not going to, if anything, it's like, first of all, people don't really commit crimes with their legal weapon. Like, that's so fucking rare. That's usually some dude, spazzing the fuck out. Most of the numbers were stolen. Come on now.
Most of the police and that's not true.
Who just said that's not true?
Hank is a proud and open supporter of the Chinese.
That's fine. Just
Can I respond? Yeah, go ahead. You can check the last couple mass shooting. Most of the last couple mass shooting, they use the gun, the legally purchased.
That's not typical gun crime. Most typical gun crime is like
I'm talking about mass shooting, man. Like look at all those mass shooting.
Right, so with mass shooting, hold on, real quick. With mass shooting, sure, you take the gun away. Now they're just gonna come up with.
I'm not talking about take the gun away, man. I'm talking about universal and universal Asian gun in Tokyo.
Listen, if you take their guns away, the people who do mass shootings would just make these or get illegal weapons. Or
I am not talking about owning a gun away, man. Hang on. Owning a gun is owning a gun.
He said registry and
Wait, owning a gun is a sitting time bomb, man.
Why you guys No, it's not. The data shows.
Why
just real quick, hold on. The data shows guns have actually prevented more crime than they cause. A, guns don't cause crime. If that was the case, then countries without guns would have no crime. B, when that crime does occur, how are you supposed to defend you and your family?
Garbage. You don't trust your government.
See, honestly, the conversation's dead because this is America. I'm American. It's in our constitution. Fuck out of here. Go to your country. Like, wait,
our Supreme Court.
Congress, bro.
Yeah, and our Supreme Court has ruled that the police are they're not obligated to prevent a crime from occurring, or to protect you from a crime occurring. You give them a call, they show up. And so, at the end of the day, like, owning a gun is, I don't see why, I can kind of see why people are against it. There's a lot of people that, okay, so, the one critique, which I would, agree with the left regarding, is that when it comes to how available guns and ammunition are in the United States, it makes it very easy for bad actors to end up possessing one. And to me, it's kind of in a way like a necessary evil. But I don't know.
Well, here's the thing: a lot of people won't. And just to respond to Hank,
can I?
No. Hold on 1 second. Hank, I'm gonna respond. I'll let you be able to respond back. But Hank, to your point is that you're talking about the mass shootings. Again, if you have a database, you can't predict someone who's going to use a gun in a malicious way. So you know how many people buy guns and have a clean record, and then they get fired from their job. Their wife leaves them, takes the kids away from them. They go into a status of financial ruin, and then they fucking snap and they use that gun. So again, it logically you can't use a database, you can't use background checks to predict someone who might fall into a situation and then have a mental breakdown and snap it and use that gun illegally. So, and here's the thing too: a lot of people don't realize, Hank, is that we actually had less gun laws on the books, no registrations, no background checks. Not too long ago in the United States, you could literally order a gun from a Sears catalog and have it at your doorstep. No background, nothing. We had more access to guns. Kids had more access to guns. Kids used to bring guns. I'm pretty sure there's people in this room who can attest that they talked to their great-grandfathers. They brought a fucking shotgun to school with them and hunted squirrels on their way home from school out in the backwoods and shit like that. We didn't have these problems. A couple things that, if you look at where mass shootings happen, typically they happen in the areas with the most gun restrictions. So you're talking schools, places of work, places like Illinois, New York. You rarely ever, if ever, see a mass shooting at a gun show, at a gun range, at a gun shop, where you have people that are actively carrying, multiple people are actively carrying loaded firearms on them. Why? Because most people know, Hank, that if I go to pull out my gun and use it, the chance of 30 other guns being pointed right back at me. I don't want to take that chance. And if you don't believe me, look at Chicago. Chicago's a good study. They had a very, very strict restriction. Citizens being able to carry. They didn't allow for the longest time. Probably about close to 10 years ago, they finally got restriction and let citizens file for a concealed carry permit, and literally overnight, I'm talking really overnight, Hank, violent gun crimes dropped by like 33%. And you can Google this and look it up. So, it shows that most criminals are only going to be willing to take a risk if they know everybody else is defenseless. Once they know everybody else is carrying and protect themselves, most criminals, they say, fuck it, I'll go fill out this application at Burger King and try to do it the right way.
Exactly.
Can I respond? Can I respond now?
Yeah, go ahead.
The good thing is that FBI did a lot of statistics. You guys can go look it up. Like for gun violence, those that you guys call it like lefty state or like blue state, which has more strict like gun regulation, they normally got much lower gun violence percentage. Especially, I think like if you can look at Hawaii, I think Hawaii is the best one we can look at it, because like for other state, basically we don't have border, so you can just toss from one state to the other, carry your gun and do whatever thing you want. We can look at Hawaii. Hawaii has near like European gun violence. Wait, why? Because like you can't fly into Hawaii or firearm. I don't know. Like if I would like everyone to look at the statistic to see like those that restricted gun control state normally has much lower.
Look at gun violence. Here, I'll challenge you.
I'm not gonna change your heart.
Hold on, JR. So I'm gonna give you some homework to do, Hank. What you're saying is a lie. So I've been a certified firearms instructor, NRA certified CPL instructor. I got over 2,000 students under my belt for the past 10 years. I've read every single one of those FBI studies. What you're saying is not true. But what I would urge you to do, and you can do this right now, Google the most violent cities in the United States, top 10 most violent cities in the United States, and look up the states those cities are in and their local legislation. And what you'll find is those 10 cities have and those states have very, very strict gun laws. But I challenge you to do that. You'll see it for yourself.
Wait, can I say something real quick? We all worry about a civil war in America. We all do. Okay? When that shit happens, it's gonna be like fucking. I'm taking a plane. I'm getting the plane.
A civil war.
Yeah.
A civil war never happened in this country.
I don't know. I don't know. The way it looks like, you never know, man.
No, because the only way something like that happens is it has to have a ridiculous amount of logistical coordination. It would be anti the government, like the Confederacy was, because that would be going against state and federal law, and therefore it'd have to be state sanctioned. So essentially, you're thinking that multiple states are going to coalesce to start the Confederacy 2.0. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. First of all, nothing happens in this country that doesn't make someone money. That would fuck everybody's money up for a long time. And there's no perceivable guaranteed conclusion. There's no perceivable outcome. Because if it was populist versus populist, sure. Like, conservatives would probably feel like they have the edge because they have the guns and the training. Realistically, it'd be them and the U.S. government. And it'd be like southern state military against northern state military. First of all, that'd be horrible for the country. It'd be bloodshed. No one wants that. It's not happening.
Jan 6th was a really good example. Jan 6th. Remember?
Jan 6 was a protest gone violent, which is common to happen. They definitely did try to seize the Capitol. They definitely did try to do a little something funny. That's not the same thing as a civil war. That's more like when George stole the election from I just blanked on the dude's name.
It was only violent on the government's behalf as well.
Like, it's just a bureaucratic kind of, because realistically, they weren't going to take the White House literally by force. If the government wanted, they would have sent in troops. It'd be over in a second. Okay, a bunch of people yelling, drunk. Oh, they're all obese. Like, did you see that protest? Those are middle Americans. They're obese and out of shape. They're not a threat, right? If the U.S. government wanted, they
didn't use a gun. Like, despite our gun rights,
need help walking up the steps.
They didn't bring a fucking gun during the whole goddamn bullshit that went on in. Yes, it's absolutely true.
The only violence that was perpetrated was by the government on the American citizens. Wasn't any American citizens that fired guns?
That's not 100%.
Yeah, he's.
They physically assaulted Capitol Police officers. They absolutely did that.
Yeah, hey, Sig, there's one stat you forgot. Thanks to our locally. Yeah, thanks to everybody's favorite President Obama, he commissioned a study on gun violence, and what he found is it's anywhere between 500,000 to 1.5 million crimes are prevented every year from guns.
500,000 to 3 million.
No, anywhere from 500,000 to 1.5 million. You look it up. It's Obama's study on gun violence, and that's if we take it down the million, that's 1 million crimes every year that is stopped because of guns. That's a significant number, and yet what do? It's understandable. We focus on the mass shootings, on the crimes when people get shot, but the number of crimes that are prevented far outweigh the downside. So it's not just guns bad, or we got to get rid of them.
Well, what Hank said, sorry. Hank, one thing you're failing to understand too is if you take away suicides, because we're talking about homicides. Yes. When someone's and look at the numbers on suicides, the overwhelming majority, according to your link, 27,000 were suicides and 15,000 were from homicides. So you got to take away the suicides, because people who are hell bent on killing themselves, they're gonna hang themselves, they're gonna stab themselves, they're gonna slit their wrists, they're gonna take pills, they're gonna whatever. So you got to take that out of the equation. We're talking homicides where party A murders party B. Okay, now again, you take those homicides off that map, I guarantee you that map's gonna flip a total 180, and you're gonna see where the real trouble spots are.
I did in 10.
80% of that 15% also.
I did
inner city gang violence.
I did an intent study on it before. I just want to say my point again. I'm not against the gun ownership. What I'm talking about is just the universal registration and universal background.
No, we cannot have a registration.
This isn't mainland China. We're not
somebody help me.
Come on, man.
Mainland China, we're not doing it.
Can I finish?
Okay, shut up, Rich.
Can I finish?
Fuck up before I kick you.
Okay, can I finish?
It's gonna be a really good time.
He said registration.
Yeah, I'll be nice to you guys. Come on,
what
man.
was the other one he said? I can't
remember. You have been talking. Your agent has been talking for 30 minutes, so you could shut the fuck.
Oh, you want to go that way?
Support Gallagher.
I actually, Hank, respectful. I mean,
come on. Hold on. We wanted Hank to finish, and then everybody's just interrupting him. You just shut your fucking mouths.
Pepe, can you tell me what he's saying, please?
Yeah, sure. Let the chimp speak before we can judge what he's saying.
Now we've been having a decent room so far.
I was joking. I was obviously joking, but
okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Go ahead, my Asian friend.
Ting tong, ting tong.
I think I'm done today. That's what. I'm not gonna change any one of you guys. It's okay.
That's not funny.
Yeah, it's fine.
Your mother needs some precious thing.
That's low blow. We bear.
You guys have a nice night. Bye.
Miss, did you think I was saying Gucci? I was saying it, manager, and you're welcome.
He's gonna leave.
Yeah, Miss thought I said that's American culture. She said you're welcome,
I
manager.
went live, and there actually was nine people brought up gun charges, and there was like over 5,000 rounds of ammunition collected. So I'm confused, but I do see where Trump said there were no guns on January 6th. So it sounds like there's two different narratives.
Oh, that's a fact, Miss. So I got a more interesting, I think at least, topic. I wonder how y'all feel about it. Free healthcare.
We've been dancing around that.
Should we stop with these commie talking points?
Aziz,
Can
okay.
we please
When
stop
can I
with
get
these
you
commie
guys onto some
talking
free health? So, Alan,
Please.
Alan,
There's no such thing as free healthcare. There is no such thing as free healthcare. Somebody's got to pay for it.
I don't
And
disagree.
doctors need to get paid.
So let's-
Otherwise, and then you die, and your grandma dies when she's having open heart surgery, and everybody dies.
He brings up a good point. Whoever said bring up the free healthcare.
How about we talk about this? The reason why Iran conceded is because China made the phone call. China made the phone call and said, Iran, you better concede to their points, otherwise we're going to be pissed.
Hey,
I don't want to talk about it. I'm tired of all these commie, pinko Marxist talking points.
This
It's
nigga just called Denmark
disgusting.
communist.
Thank you.
I don't really want to talk about health.
This nigga just called England communist and Germany
Thank you.
communist and Denmark communist.
But it does.
Am I the only one that doesn't want to talk about that?
No, so here's why I brought it up, because I'm like, so one, to Alan's point, you raised a great point. I didn't disagree with it. You're right. Technically, it's not free. There's no such thing as free, and that's why I want to talk about it.
True, bro. So Beaver's top left. This is his role. He's giving you the hint. He doesn't want to talk about it, so drop.
Hey, Truth, how you doing, by the way? Hope things are good.
Guys, let's just go ahead and change the conversation. So now that we're all up here, how do you guys all feel about, a lot of we're being called, here's the thing, I don't hate Israel and I don't hate Jews. I really don't. Never hated them. But we ended up going to war, and then this is not to take anything away from Trump. Trump gets to make his own decisions, and he made, in my opinion, a very stupid decision to help Israel attack Iran. Now, I personally, I don't see how actually change the outcome without having a full-scale invasion, which they don't have the appetite for it. He knows that his voting base doesn't have the appetite for it. So he ended up, saying like, we won a decisive victory. That's cool. No, but in reality, you didn't. They can shut down the Strait of Hormuz. They can do all of the shit that they're doing. To me, this is why I did not want this to happen. I thought this was like a no-win for America, and so
did he when he campaigned in 2016. Remember that shit,
bro? I really did stupid people.
But even when it comes to, to be fair, we had this flawless military operation in Caracas, Venezuela, where we took Nicolas Maduro, into custody, which, he's an absolute piece of fucking shit. A lot of the problems we see in the Western Hemisphere, when it comes to mass migration in particular, he caused the largest humanitarian crisis in the Western Hemisphere. Like, this guy sucks. I do not care for Nicolas Maduro, and I applaud them for how they conducted that operation.
But can I just say something? I think America is looking like a bully right now on a world stage, to be honest with you. So,
what is that?
Yeah, okay, so the bully in the sense that, look, man, at the end of the day, you have to get along with every player on the table. every country, right? Yeah, it is true because you can't be like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna fucking do whatever the fuck I want to.
Is that why everybody speaks?
No, but here's the thing, man. In 2 years, 3 years, it's gonna backfire. Or even in 5 years.
I mean,
okay?
And what
Backfire on who? Israel or
that doesn't really make sense.
No, backfire on America. I don't know.
In what way?
I mean, but Iran can't do shit to America. That's the reality.
No, but Israel is just looking like a fucking bully right now on the world stage.
That's right.
But here's the problem. Here's the problem is that you guys want to pretend like, look, I'm against this war. Or this is a military operation, whatever they want to fucking call it. But at the end of the day, the IRG are fucking pieces of shit. They're horrible people. They're enemies of the United States. There's nothing I can say positive about them. Literally nothing. And the Arabs feel the same way. Asia feels the same. All of us feel the same way.
Pepe, you don't understand the dominoes. Okay,
dominoes. What dominoes? Here comes the 4D check.
When he choked the Hormuz, okay, what happens?
Gotta order cheese.
That is why. That is part of the reason why I said what Trump did was stupid.
China starves. That's what happens.
You know what happens?
Real quick,
if
right?
they
Because I don't
choke
necessarily agree with the war.
I'm worried that Trump will not come out of this on the other end. I just don't see a path. Do you? Is anybody?
No, yeah, he's shot the Republican
If
Party.
they choke
realistically,
I think they choke the channel, China loses.
Exactly.
That's what everybody's missing.
Exactly.
If we bomb Carg Island, they lose. If they force us to bomb it, they lose. If they cut it off, they lose. No matter what, China loses, and then China can't power its AI.
Will they know though? Will people realize
which is trying to be? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, they know it now.
Our voting populace will know that by the next presidential election.
The whole exercise, but at the same time, nah, bro, I think we're fine because between the Western, we already have oil reserves. There's the Venezuela connect. We already get oil from Brazil. So adding to that, Trinidad sells us oil. A lot of people don't know Trinidad is actually a major oil producer. So we're fine on the Western Hemisphere. There's really nothing. 70% of Asia's oil comes from that. Asia's cooked. Now, that's sad for our ally Japan. That's a realistic scenario. Australia. But outside of them, we don't really care about the Asian Pacific. Like that's not our problem.
But when you sound so selfish right now, man.
No, we do. We do care. No, okay. We can look at the large military presence we have in South Korea and Japan. Which, by the way, these guys are our allies. South Korea and Japan. No, I'm dead serious. They are our allies, and so. Do we really want to make their lives harder? No, not really. It's not in their best interest.
We don't care.
Okay, but they're our allies, and I do care.
Nah, you don't.
Truth, can you stop ankle biting?
People are fucking
Oh my God.
55% of China is.
I'm telling you right now, nobody cares about Japan. Look. So there's virtue signaling, which is cute, and we can all do it. And I can say, oh yeah, of course I'm a human with functioning empathy, and I'm not happy to hear about people suffering. I'm being matter of fact. I'm saying people don't care. You don't. That's why it's called virtue signaling, right? When you wake up and you drink your coffee, you're not like, oh man, those fucking poor Japanese, man. Like, you don't care. Now, if it's in conversation, yes, you can logically conclude that is an undesirable reality. But when people are talking about geopolitics and these major life events, it's like, no, the average American's not giving a fuck about how they happen.
Being the only country that matters. Okay, cool, yeah.
It's not JR. It's not about me only focusing on my people and being selfish. It's about me being matter of fact. You can ask me my opinions, and I'm actually fucking ideal. Fucking Alan just called me a communist. I'm an idealist. I'm being matter of fact, and I'm talking about broader geopolitical consequences. downstream of hurting China, we're going to hurt Japan. But you can't really hurt China without hurting Japan in regards to fucking global oil levels. Like, what? And when it comes to the West versus Asia, we're fighting for global hegemony. Like, this is a lot on the line. Do you see what I'm saying?
What's the connection with China and Japan?
In the big scheme of things, when the top guys, when the brass is having these kind of fucking high-level discussions, trust me, they're not losing sleep over Japan suffering. When this much is at stake, we're talking about the next 20 years, the next 50 years. I don't know if you know about China's 100-year plan. So, no, we just kicked China in the nuts hardcore. That's part of why we did Venezuela before Iran. That's why he said Cuba's next. And to JR saying, hey, the world's this and that. Look, the world doesn't run on cuteness and niceness. The 50% of the globe's not speaking English because they just love their culture. Like, what are we talking? My face, right?
What's the connection? What's the connection with China and Japan that you were talking about?
Oh, so 90% of Japan's oil comes from the strait. Something like 70% of China's does. So they're cooked, right? And this is relevant because China is just beginning to become a threat to us, and this is going to kneecap them.
I could have sworn it's a lot smaller percentage. What was the percentage of oil that you said comes from Iran that the Chinese utilize?
I think it's no, I might be mixing up numbers, but I think it's 70%. It might be that
China gets 55% for the Gulf states, 18% from Iran, 73% total.
Thank you.
That's what I thought. It was like a super small amount, or not?
That's not a small amount.
Also, the Gulf states can provide oil to Japan other than the Strait of Hormuz.
Nice. But
the only one that's really fucked is China.
Nice. And that's I see that good news.
No, truth. Here's the thing. East India Company was played. That chessboard was played 100 years ago. Trust me on this one. Wait, hang on. The global South. The global South knows how the board actually works. Okay. So right now, what you have is a problem. You can't be acting like, okay, I'm the only hegemony, and that it doesn't work like that on a world stage.
Are you
it literally does.
No, wait. I'm just saying, man. Like, come on, you can't be like, oh, I'm the only thing here, and I'm the only,
What dillos have you had?
Yeah, he's tore up on a scissor.
No, unfortunately, it definitely does work like that. Look, if the world ran my way, we'd all sing Kumbaya and praise Christ. But realistically, what's going to happen is factions will compete for resources, which is what always happens. And then the rate of efficiency in that competition will dictate their dominance. That's it. Even the American global reserve currency is largely supported by the petrodollar, which is becoming less relevant in the modern age, hence why we're heading to tokenization. We're going to be tokenizing.
They'll start ditching dollar too. What the fuck are we going to do?
What'd you say?
They'll start ditching dollar, man. Like, it's not going to be a dollar. It's not going to be like a fucking US dollar, right? They move to a different currency at some point. It's possible.
So the problem with that is it's not that that's not what the world would like to do and that China's not trying to help the world do that. It's that it's easier said than done, right? The global reserve currency, roughly 60% of the world uses the dollar for their day-to-day transactions and for their own nation states' reserve capital. And the reason for that is because the dollar is easily acceptable and tradable. So for me, sure, I can have a ton of money in some currency no one cares about. Where's my incentive to keep it there? I can't go abroad and spend it. No one wants it. What does everybody want? They want a fucking dollar. And so that's such a giant mountain of an established status quo. You don't just overturn that overnight.
Look, here's the thing. If I was a fucking top guy, it's better off building building alliances rather than using a stick. Okay, it's not going to really work.
I agree.
Long term.
I agree. Well, I disagree with that. So the problem is the world is too properly divided and conquered. England did that very well. That was actually their deliberate move. And they didn't create division. They just inflamed it. So, like, even if you go to BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, Good luck getting India and China to stay best friends. That's not happening, bro. It's already just in the BRIC alone. You have to compete. They're not allies. India and China are not real allies, right? Russia's barely
South Africa.
People. Well, again, even African and the global South nations, they are with one another. Now they're incentivized to join a movement that will lessen the weight of the Western Hemisphere, but realistically, Africa's better off creating their own trade.
Well, no, it's called BRICS with an S, plural, for South Africa. A lot of people think it's Saudi Arabia, but it's actually South Africa, the BRICS.
Oh, yeah. But what I was just saying in reply to that was saying that Africa's better off creating its own, like Gaddafi wanted, creating its own trade union and then currency downstream from that, similar to the European Union and the euro.
Yeah, we're never going to allow any of this to happen. Just like we got Gaddafi, and just like we're going with BRICS, we're just
exactly.
Got a question. There was one who was saying that the only reason why, and this is, I think it's crazy, but he was saying that he wanted to get people to pay the oil in like his own coin. The world liberty something, whatever his coin is that they're trying to do with, they're trying to make it like a retail POS system kind of thing. Now, I mean, as crazy as that sounds, I don't know if that's even, worth doing on the oil part, but, it's something that it was mentioned, so I don't know. I mean, I didn't know what to think of that, because I was like, that just sounds crazy. I mean,
but here's the thing. I don't know what truth is smoking on, man. Like, either the kind of dependency you have on the East. Okay, let's just go with fucking Tesla. Okay, Apple computers. The amount of Indian fucking CEOs that run top 7 companies in US. I mean, you cannot tethered, or you cannot like
design, bro. That's my
dude. It's not gonna work. It's not really gonna work. You're in a pipe dream right now. I mean, no, it's not gonna work.
Microsoft invented. You don't understand what you're saying. So the West is actually really classist and it's sick, right? This is why they don't invest into their own countries and educate their own populace. Instead, they'll go educate foreigners and get them for half price. This is why Microsoft invested into India. This is why we do the joke of the telemarketer calling up going, "Hello, my name is Bob." Right? And it's like, come on.
That's not the only thing they do, man. Come on, man. Come on. You can hang on. Look, you can make fun of the accent, but I know exactly how they work. Trust me on this one. Hang on, man. Here's the thing, right? Some of these people can't do the work that we can. Okay? It is 110%. What? No, it is true, bro. I mean, you're like, I don't know what world do you live in.
Eastern Indians are incredibly intelligent. What are you
JR, who do you say when you say we?
No, I mean, look, I'm not even gonna get into that right now because it's not.
You said they can't do the job that we can.
Yeah, I mean, like some of the jobs are.
Yeah, but what do you mean when you say we? Do you mean Americans or?
Yeah, because
you have a kind of an accent, so that's why.
Yeah. So
where's your family from? Where are you from?
Here's the thing, right? So here's the thing. So some of the things, some of the people that can do, even in Bangalore, we can't do that shit. It is a fact.
Oh,
hang on. So why is it that?
This is kind of racist.
It's not racist, man. I'm just speaking facts right now. Okay, why you? So why are all these companies going to like other parts of the world?
Because it's fucking cheap.
Yeah, no, it's not about cheapness.
It is bad. It's cheap. It's 53 peso. Hold on, it's 53 peso for each US dollar. Like the majority of fucking call center jobs are actually in the Philippines.
Wait, you want to say black?
They're not even in India.
Oh wait, are you black? That's how you say that. No, because truth is black. I'm not black. No, I mean
black. Truth's black. I'm not black. Yeah, I'm a Jew.
He's not Jewish, man. Like, come on. I can just tell from the accent he's fucking black guy.
Oh,
Okay?
Oh